Sit back and get ready to have the most fun you ever had with an electronic device. All right, everybody, welcome out to the Get On With It Sports Show. It is Wednesday, April the 13th, 2022. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. RadioPete and Mr. Harry Lug Nutz. Say hello, gentlemen.
Howdy. When's that StreamYard update coming?
Your guess is as good as mine. When's it coming? From the last notification I got, it's coming the third week in January.
2023. All right.
Apparently, yeah.
At least they have a timetable.
So
They're not
who the hell knows? But
overestimating their abilities.
I'm guessing that's so. You know, my guess is that, you know, these background music clips are they were a first. They were the this stuff here.
Right. Yeah, they're throwing us some breadcrumbs here.
Right.
That's you guys, if you like this,
so if
you're gonna love what we're doing at StreamYard.
Exactly. So we should just leave this on for the whole show, see what happens.
Yeah.
No, I'm good. Anyway.
Yeah, you're paying for it. Might as well use it.
Exactly, right? Anyway. How are you guys on this fine evening?
I'm excited.
Fantastic.
Basketball playoffs. Harry sounds like he's just waiting for me to foul things up.
No. I can't wait for the actual basketball playoffs to start. There's only 4 more games left of sub 10 teams, 10 games under 500 playing games.
Trying to squeeze into the playoffs.
Yeah,
they're not
never going to happen. So
do this every year.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Are they? Or is this is the new?
It's
format?
more games. It's more games for a national audience, so they get more TV revenue. That's exactly what they're doing. They don't give a damn about it. If they could, they put 12 people in, 12 teams in each conference in the playoffs.
That music that you just had would be great background music for Patrick Beverly crying.
So was this, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It was like they won the championship, but they just made it to the playoffs.
They just made it to the playoffs.
Yeah, they beat a Clippers team without their best player.
Yeah.
It's pretty funny, actually.
And while getting a pretty subpar performance from
Carl Anthony
Towns. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So what does that say about the Clippers? I don't know if that's more
the
about Minnesota.
Well, the Clippers I almost felt like they were like, whoa, we can't win this one. For some reason they were like, well, I don't know. It was like the Clippers gave that game away
or something. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know.
Well, we'll get into basketball in a little bit. Let's get baseball out of the way first. By the way, the name of this loop is called Night Driving.
I think it's PB's Tears from now on.
If you play this at night, then
and drive,
you're gonna fall asleep.
It's not good to drive while playing the song Night Driving.
No,
not so much. No. Couple things to get out of the way first before we actually get into. You know what? We'll do this afterwards. That'll be a nice little interlude and break. Let's get right into baseball.
Okay.
First of all, I do want to mention, obviously, Jackie Robinson Day is Friday.
What did he ever do?
Is that in place of Good Friday, or what? Do we?
No.
We're gonna put,
it's a Good Friday and Jackie Robinson Day.
You have to put Jackie Robinson's number on your forehead in ashes.
See which one is more popular.
And there you go. That's there you go. That might not be. That'd be interesting. Anyway.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk a little Mets first. First of all, I don't know if either of you, I know we talked about it, but anybody listening or whatever, if you did watch the Mets' second game 2, obviously opening day for them, their home openers this week, but opening day for them was away in Washington, and game 1 was Thursday, but game 2 was Max Scherzer's first start as a Met, was Friday night, and it was covered by Apple TV Plus, so you can only watch the game on Apple TV. That was the only way you could do it.
It was Plus, though, not regular Apple TV.
It wasn't regular Apple TV. It was Apple TV.
Yeah, so
Plus.
that says something about the respect that Apple.
Of course. Right.
Mets,
They have a little
I
respect for
suppose.
or Major League Baseball in general, right? They're
Like,
doing
I tell you what,
Yeah.
we're gonna put you on Apple TV
plus,
not just regular Apple TV.
not just
Oh
regular.
well, how can we refuse Ghost of Steve Jobs?
Okay. So what here's the thing. What they're doing is apparently every Friday night there's going to be 2 games on Apple TV, an East Coast game and a West Coast game, an early game and a late game, or something like that, along those lines. And they're going to get everybody. So every team is going to wind up playing 4 or 5 or somewhere in there games on Apple TV on Friday nights. But I just have to tell you one thing: the crew sucked. They were horrible. I'm going to put this up, and no, they were not good at all. I'm going to put this graphic up really quick and read it. It's just a picture of Max Scherzer, but it's a tweet by one of the women. And make no mistake, I am not saying that women cannot commentate. They absolutely can. There's many wonderful women commentators out there, but this particular woman was one of the commentators on Friday night's game, and this is what she tweeted out. Here we go. I'm gonna put it up. Here we go. She said, "Tonight I'll help broadcast the Mets Nationals game on Apple TV Plus. The first time I've ever done anything like that at all, which is frankly surreally cool. Surreally cool." When I told my parents about it, my mother, a diehard Mets fan, said, "Oh, I hate it when Gary, Keith, and Ron, when it's not Gary, Keith, and Ron." So
A lot of support from her mom.
A lot of support from her mom. But now nothing against her personally. All right. They were very pleasant people. Don't get me wrong. But as far as their coverage, when you compare anybody to Gary, Keith, and Ron, I mean, everybody says the best booth in baseball, but
that was the original lineup of the Stones, right?
Gary, Keith, and Ron. Gary, Keith, and Ron. Exactly.
I thought it was the Stooges.
Maybe
it was both.
Both, actually. Yeah.
You're talking the Three Stooges or the actual Stooges? That was Ron. That was Ron.
Both, actually.
That was who? That was Ron what?
Ron Ashton.
Yeah. Ron Ashton, right.
Well, the Three Stooges, that obviously not their real names.
No.
Who's named Mo? Please.
Mo, exactly.
Well, I think Mo was his name.
Mo was actually his name, yeah.
I know it was. That's
So we got games on Apple
think
TV.
the other guy
we
was
talked
named
about
Shim.
This last time. This is the way it goes. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I don't care.
Go out and watch a band play.
But hire people.
Go watch a local band play on a Friday
Hire professional commentators, though. I mean, she has. This is the first time I've done anything like this at all, and really,
well, if they're taking applications, then I'll do it.
Yeah, but that's my point. When I texted the two of you and said we could do better, I wasn't kidding.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about. It was also Friday night, so I was way busy doing something else.
Yeah. Well, I texted you at 8:00. It's only 6 out there. I didn't think you were like into.
Yeah, I didn't know what you were talking about because I couldn't find the game, and I also I actually have watched the Mets game already because they were on ESPN the other night. And
this is true.
And I'm also getting, this is the time of the year where they tease you with the free Major League Baseball package for the first.
Oh yeah. Well, do they put like one game on for free now?
Yeah,
they used to do that a lot. So
yeah,
look, kudos to Apple for because there's 2 crews apparently, and they both are weighted towards the female gender, which is great. So kudos to Apple for that.
I'm all for it, but get somebody with a little experience.
I look, on the other hand, you could say, well, this is a good place for them to kind of cut their teeth and get some of that experience.
Because like 7 people were watching. So
if it's not Charles Barkley commentating, I'm not watching it anyway.
Yeah, I got you.
And just for the record, this may be sacrilege or whatever, but I've never been a huge Gary Cohen fan.
No.
He's okay.
I thought they were talking about Gary Carter.
No, Gary Cohen.
Ron Darling,
Gary Cohen's
Keith Hernandez, and Gary Carter.
Ron Darling, Keith Hernandez, and Gary Carter. Gary Cohen.
No one does the play-by-play. They all do the color commentary.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like you just hear like
Carter does the whole game.
The crowd
Carter
roars.
does the whole game in a crouch too.
And then you hear Hernandez go, "That was a tough play."
Yeah.
That's it. That's the whole broadcast.
I'm Keith Hernandez.
Yeah, went down on one knee to get that one. Who did? Because no one does the play-by-play with those guys. They're all
absolutely
players. So
that's great.
I mean,
Gary does.
Did Apple TV not lose an incredible opportunity by not hiring Brockmeyer to announce the games? If you really want to get me to buy Apple TV, Put Brockmeyer on.
If
for the
I'm going to
game,
tell you this,
and I'll pay for it.
They could put Hank Azaria on every Friday night to cover the Mets games, and put the Mets on every Friday night. I will watch it every Friday night.
Or how about Uke and his sidekick from the Major League movies?
Right. I'll tell you what. I mean, Hank Azaria
that's a great
as
idea.
Brockmeyer would be absolutely fantastic.
That's a great idea. Take some of the greatest faux, announcers from the entertainment world and put them on and let them actually do the game. That's a great idea.
Absolutely. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that
put
would be
Amanda
great.
Pete on with him if you want.
That was a good show. That was a good show. I may rewatch that.
It was great.
Great show.
I think they were prematurely canceled, and so the last season was kind of a rush to kind of get a little bit of something wrapped up, and it was a little. It felt a little unfinished.
It felt very unfinished. It was still great for what it was.
Season 1 is maybe the best season 1 I've ever watched. It's that good.
If they could have done, a season 1 type of season for 10 seasons, that I kept watching it. It was that good.
Yeah.
But I digress. All right.
Anyway, so that's
with that out of the way. All right. So
Apple TV.
Couple other things. Yeah, I think I'm going to actually look. I'm going to mark my words. I'm actually going to check in to see if they're actually taking any applications, because there was a lot of stuff that was kind of, dial in kind of thing. I'm going to see if they're actually looking for new hires.
I heard the winners of the CMT Music Awards.
Give the three of us one game this year.
I heard it was all the winners of the CMT Music Awards this week that are going to announce.
It very well likely could be.
It could be.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, but in any event, I do want to move on to this little tidbit about the Mets. Today, the game 3 of the Phillies series. Mets are now 5-2, currently in first place in the NL East. And I mean, if it wasn't for, quite frankly, the back end of the bullpen and not the far back end, just like the late middle relief, they'd be 7-0. So that really sucks. But in any event, 5-2 in first place. But in 7 games, in just 7 games, Mets batters have been hit 10 times already. They got hit 3 times today. All right. McNeil, Kana, and Dom Smith got hit today, the 3 of them. 10 times in 7 games. Opponents from Mets pitching once in those same 7 games. I don't know. Does opponents pitching really suck? Or is there something underlying here? I don't know. I'm not speculating, but it's odd. 10 times got hit. 10 batters got hit in 7 games to start the season.
And if they had Don Baylor, it would be 25.
If you can't get him out, just limit him to a single.
There you go. Oh yeah. Very true. Very true.
Look, shut up. You guys are off to a great start. Just shut up.
I'm just talking about the act of hitting the batters, whether good start or bad start. I'm not complaining.
There's no undefeated teams. There's too much parity in baseball. I think there's actually going to be more parity than anybody was even planning on this year, because I think there's going to be a couple teams that are going to surprise people.
Right.
It's early. The Mets look great. Their pitching acquisitions that they made and their off-season acquisitions were spot on. And yes, it's a bullpen's game right now. The Yankees bullpen actually has been doing phenomenal. Their multi-trillion-dollar starter can't seem to get people out.
Right.
But look, it's an interesting start to an interesting season.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, there's the Mets. The biggest thing the Mets have to worry about, which is what everybody has to worry about, is how healthy their starting pitchers can stay. Mm-hmm. And they're already dealing with injuries.
Well, they are, because I mean the hamstring issue, knock on wood, with Scherzer has been put to the side. But there a couple other pitchers now. Taijuan Walker, he's on the IL right now with right shoulder bursitis. Hoping it's a short.
Isn't that something a 75-year-old man gets?
Yeah, right shoulder bursitis.
Like usually you get that from he's a pitcher.
Too much bocce.
No, repetitive motion.
Repetitive
right?
motion.
Yeah, too
of
much
the,
bocce. Yeah.
I don't know.
Could be
Could be
listen, anything at that point. But yeah, and Trevor May has a low-grade tricep strain.
Yeah,
well, he's not on the IL or their day-to-day with him.
This is what happens. So
it's just, and I mean, this is obviously, they're saying that it's a product of a shortened spring training, especially for pitchers. Yeah. They lost a month, so and they had to ramp up, in a month less time. So, which is another reason why they gave, extra roster spots, and most teams use that for pitching depth.
Yeah. And look, if this continues and, it becomes sort of the accepted truth or fact that, a lot of pitchers are getting hurt because they had to ramp up with a short spring training. Well, then that's something that, the next time, knock wood, there's a stoppage of play for whatever reason, you're going to think the players are going to go, no, we need a full spring training because look what happened the last time we had all these pitchers get hurt.
Right. Here's a note to the players. You guys could throw by yourselves. You don't need to be in a formal
but they don't
setting.
get paid to do that.
Nah, they're lazy.
As far as the Mets getting hit, look, if it was the Mets got hit 10 times and the other teams they played against, or the Mets hit the other teams like 6 times or 7 times or whatever, then obviously there would be some back and forth, some tit for tat.
Right.
Which leads me to believe that the Mets are like in a non-retaliation mode, which doesn't seem like Buck Showalter.
Doesn't seem like the Mets or Buck,
or any team for that matter. Or maybe more likely that they are deciding that a lot of these times they're getting hit are not intentional. It's just a
lot of them just look
spring
like
training. So you can use that for anything a pitcher does that's not of the norm or status quo or as good as you might expect. It was a short spring training, so their control is a little bit out,
There's 4 or 5 guys on the Yankees right now who their best bet of ever getting to first base is to lean into a pitch.
Right.
No. So, listen, Homer got the winning RBI in the softball game. He took a beanball to the head when the bases loaded.
That's right.
So,
all right. All right. Anything? I think I have one other thing on the Mets just to say. Really quick. Yeah, they're 5-2 in first place right now. They have Arizona at home this weekend. They kick off their home opening weekend, and of course they have San Francisco next week at home. The Mets are home. Opening day starters. I just want to bring this up. Opening day starters with 6 strikeouts, 0 runs scored. 6 strikeouts and 0 runs scored for opening day starters throughout Mets history. Here we go. Tom Seaver in 1972 and 1973. This is 6+ strikeouts and 0 runs scored.
Runs allowed, you mean?
Runs allowed. Runs scored by the other team, yeah. But yeah, runs allowed.
Because 6 strikeouts and 0 runs scored, then the all-time winner for that is Jacob deGrom.
Jacob deGrom, yeah. 6 strikeouts and 0 runs allowed. There you go. Tom Seaver is 72 and 73. Noah Syndergaard in 1917.
1973.
Yeah.
Noah Syndergaard.
1917.
That's why the Mets got. I mean, yeah, sure, he's a god, but he's old.
He's held up well.
He's old. He's 120 years old.
He was on that A's championship team, wasn't he?
Exactly. So Noah Syndergaard in 2017, Jacob deGrom in 2019, 20, and 21, and Tyler McGill just last Thursday in 22.
DeGrom was 0-2 with a no decision in those 3 games.
Yeah, of course. In those 3 games, yeah. Tyler McGill pitched 5 innings, gave up 3 hits, no runs, no walks, and 6 strikeouts. That means 5 of the last 6 seasons, 5 of the last 6 starting opening games, Mets starters have fallen into this category between Syndergaard.
Well, 3 of those was.
3 of them were DeGrom, yeah. But 3
so
of the
that goes
pitchers,
to show that it means absolutely nothing.
or that the Mets have Mets have decent pitching and they have a decent opening day record.
Well, they have a decent pitching performance on opening day.
Yeah. And just to say this too, as of Monday, and it's actually gotten better. As of Monday, the Mets starters so far this season have pitched to a 1.59 ERA in 22 2/3 innings. Best in Major League Baseball. So there you go. But, anyway, all right.
Well, I have one final Met note, actually.
All right.
It's about a former Met, Javier Baez,
Okay.
who was a scratch from the lineup today.
Was a scratch
because of a sore thumb.
Because of a sore thumb.
Yeah, he was
What?
originally scheduled to play.
Did he pull out a plum? Did he? What was the?
I don't know. I don't know if there was a pie involved.
Gotcha.
But he has some right thumb soreness, and so he was a scratch, and he's expected to probably return possibly tomorrow.
Well, good for Javi.
Yeah, that's
Good
it.
for Javi. There you go.
Just important.
He's on Detroit, right?
Yeah.
Yes, Detroit. Yeah. So, all right, and Yankees. Yankees are 3-2 in second place in the AL East. Just behind, one game behind the Rays, I believe, right?
Razor first.
Razor in first, 4-1. Yeah. Blue Jays are 3-2 as well, tied with the Yankees. Red Sox are 3-3. Orioles in the basement.
They're playing right now, right? I don't have the scores up.
3-0 Toronto. Vlad Guerrero's hit 2 home runs already off of Garrett Cole. So
with the third coming soon, or you
probably if they keep Cole in there. The Yankees bullpen has been incredible. They've also been made to pitch an incredible amount of innings already, and if this keeps up, they'll be shot by the All-Star break.
Yeah, I think I heard yesterday they used like 7 pitchers in game 1 and 7 pitchers in game 2, and they haven't gotten any.
I don't think they've gotten any more
starter who's gotten into the 6th inning.
Not into the 6th, into the 5th.
Yeah. That's not sustainable. I mean, but they have 16 pitchers, but even still,
everybody does. Yeah.
You can't.
16 starting pitchers.
Well,
2 relievers.
I would argue they have 2 starting pitchers, and then one of them is on the injured reserve. Yeah. Look, it's just the same old frustrations with the Yankees.
It is.
The lineup's different every day. There's never the same people in the lineup, and I don't know. We'll see.
We will see.
They're just not consistent, and they have too many of these games where their bats just go dormant. The entire team just dormant, and that's because they are still not a team that can produce runs any other way than the long ball. Mm-hmm. That's the only way they get production.
Yeah, you're right. Well, we will see how it completely continues to play out. Hopefully things get turned around on that note. I do have one other thing, Major League Baseball wise, and that's just an interesting point of view. I saw this the other day. San Francisco, the Giants have had a different opening. This is a little odd, but listen, bear with me. A different opening day starting left fielder every single year since Bonds retired in 2007.
Good for them.
That's just odd. Never the same opening day starter in left field for the last 15 years. This is the 16th season.
They're also a team much like the A's who are really good at finding suitable players to fill the holes that they're constantly
suitable replacement parts.
Yeah,
pretty much.
I think they're pretty good at it.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, that Giants team last year,
crazy.
Were they filled with superstars? No, they were the opposite of the Dodgers.
If I told you, what was it? They won 104 games and the Dodgers won 102, right? Something like that.
I think it was 106 and 105, wasn't it?
106 and 105, maybe that is. Okay, so if I told you at the beginning of last season, the Dodgers are going to win 105 games this year.
Right.
And they're not going to win the National League West.
Of course
the
not.
Giants will. You'd been like, you're smoking crack.
And why are all the prognosticators picking the Giants to win 84 games this year? Who did they lose? That is going to facilitate a 20-game drop in wins.
Chris Bryant, of course.
Well, okay. Like I said, who did they lose? Yes, Chris Bryant's a good player. I get that, but I don't know. They're already 4-2. They're already atop their division. So
I don't think much is going to change.
I don't think they're going to win 100. I don't think they're going to win 106 games again.
I don't either, but I also don't think that the Dodgers are going to have as good a season this year as they did last year either. So I do believe that they'll What was our picks for?
Well, look, Kershaw going pitching 7 perfect innings. That's a good sign for the Dodgers. I mean, that's granted they're playing Minnesota. He got to pitch to Gary Sanchez at least twice. So look, I get it, but that's a good sign. That's a good sign.
Oddly enough, that is the only division that the three of us, we did our picks last week. The three of us have different teams. All three of us have a different team winning the NL West. Harry, you have the Dodgers. Pete, of course, you took your Padres, and I have the Giants. And we'll see what happens with that.
And the reason why I took the Dodgers is I think the Dodgers actually got better than they were last year. Granted, losing Scherzer was a tough blow, but I think their lineup is going to be strong.
They only had him for 2 months. It's not like they had him the whole season.
That's all they needed him for.
Yeah, true story. So, all right, Pete, you have anything else baseball?
Well, I mean, I heard a lot of chatter about Kershaw and pulling him and how it was a terrible thing to do. And this was a chance at a perfect game. And there's only been 24 of them. Right. And you have this opportunity for the world to kind of stop and pay attention to baseball. And it's an absolutely horrible decision, blah, blah, blah. I didn't feel that way. Clayton Kershaw didn't feel that way. He said he was getting tired. You know, he had injuries and he had some sort of platelets or something.
He's also 150 years old too. So
I mean, he said he agreed with the decision.
It was time. It's younger than Scherzer.
You know, now look, it's odd because if you look at what's the manager's name?
Dave Roberts.
He's had like a number of times.
Davey Johnson.
A number of times where he's pulled pitchers that were pitching like either no hitters or perfect games, right? After 5 or 7 innings or whatever. There's like 4 or 5 of them. So that's almost like too coincidental to be real. But I didn't think all of the yelling and screaming about what a terrible thing it was. I mean, I could see sending him out there for the 8th, you know, because he was at 80 pitches and you don't want him to throw a lot more. But what if he goes out and throws like
4 pitches in the 8th?
Right, like a 7-pitch 8th inning.
Right.
Well, then you go, okay, well, 87, all right, you know, maybe or whatever. He goes out, if he gives up a hit, it's over.
Right.
Right? You're not going to leave him out there and throw another 25 or 30 pitches.
It's not like he gets an award or an accolade for pitching 7 perfect innings. It would be even better for him if he went out there and gave up a hit in the 8th than just to come out of it.
Right.
Factor and everything else.
Right. You wouldn't if he goes out and throws a 18 or 20 pitch 8th inning, then obviously you're going to take him out.
Or if he's at 12 pitches or 14 pitches, he gets to 94, 95 pitches and he's got only 1 or 2 batters, I'll take him out. Done. You know, you just have to stay out there.
Look, he made it to the 7th inning.
Yeah,
through the 7th inning.
Yeah.
And by the way, Kershaw's got 3.5 years plus younger than Scherzer. He's only 34. He just turned 34 in March.
Okay.
So
he seems older.
Well, Nolan Ryan, that was like the middle of his career.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
But I mean, the worst thing that can happen is
Nolan Ryan pitched when he was 58, didn't he?
Let me ask you this. Would Nolan Ryan with a perfect game pitch the 8th inning? Would any manager be able to get him off the mound?
Hell no. Nolan Ryan would have beaten the shit out of the manager.
Or Roger Clemens
did any of those guys ever face, were any of them in the situation that Clayton Kershaw was in?
What, playing a weak Minnesota Twins team in the beginning of the season?
Wait a minute, there's some Twins, but a shortened spring training, not ramping up the normal way.
Yeah, I get it.
Right.
I don't know.
It's completely understandable, but I, as a manager, would have sent him out there unless he wanted to be. Unless he was done. Unless
if he said he's done, then that's
walked
his
up to
fault.
Robertson and said, "Hey,
well,
I'm done."
He didn't.
He didn't want to make that call, but he didn't disagree with it.
Here's what he said. He said, here's what Kershaw said. Blame it on the lockout. Blame it on me not picking up a baseball until January. My slider was horrible the last 2 innings. It didn't have the bite. It was time. Now, I don't think he went to Dave Roberts and said, I'm done.
Right.
But he didn't obviously put up a fight when it was. So I don't have an issue. If you leave him out there and he throws another 25 or 30 pitches or whatever, he might get the perfect game, but what if his arm is, what if he's fucked up the rest of the season?
Well, leaving a pitcher out there to throw too many pitches just to get a no-hitter or a
go
perfect
ahead.
game.
You know who I'm talking about.
Hello.
Yeah, there you go.
Hello. right here.
Right. So that's
Those of you listening to the audio podcast, I'm wearing a Johan Santana jersey today.
Yeah, that's a Mets move. So I think it was the right. I think it was the right move.
I'm not questioning it. I just
I mean, it's a long.
I don't think
season.
I don't think Robertson would have taken him out unless he knew that he was done.
Right.
Yeah. Or if Kershaw had said, no, let me go out there for one more,
Yeah, I mean, if it was a mutually agreed thing, I can't see Robertson making that call. Just
but then it makes it even harder.
So
if he goes out there and pitches and gets out of a perfect 8th inning, then it's even harder to say, well, we're going to bring.
It's only one more inning.
Yeah,
why are you taking him out?
Well, but I think it has to do with the number of pitches too.
Right.
Sure. Because everybody is kind of on a. I mean,
listen, they could have made the decision. Good.
When there's a regular spring training, guys are on a pitch count.
Right.
Anyway, right? So now it's
and they're all still on a pitch count. They're ramping themselves up. But all I'm going to say is that I agree with it. Or not agree with it. I don't have a problem with it. But I would have said something along the lines of, okay, you know what? Go out in the 8th. If you're floating around 90 pitches and you only have one out, you're coming out, right? Or if you get out of the inning, if you're on the third batter and you got the first 2 out and you're at 90 pitches and you need a couple more pitches to get them out, and you get them out, that's fine, but you're done after that. I'm not sending you out in the 9th.
Yeah, if you come out at the end
but
of the
if you can still be in the 80s in pitches coming out of the 9th and coming out of the 8th inning, then I'll send you back out there for the 9th. Just keep it that way and have a short leash on him in the 9th. If he's dealing, let it happen, let it ride. If he can get it done in less than 100 pitches or right around 100 pitches, I don't think that's going to be. Look, if he's not ramped up enough at this point in his career, with the ramped up that he did, that 15 pitches are going to make that big of a difference in the rest of his career.
You wouldn't
Something's
think it's
wrong.
Ruin him. Yeah, right, exactly. All right, last thing. Shohei Ohtani continues to be wonderful.
Is that the figure skater?
Yes. She's amazing.
The double sow cow that she does is amazing.
And her
double sow cow
their brother who plays a little bit of baseball. So this is just something that the stat nerds have pulled up here. So one of the things that Shohei Ohtani was not so great at as a pitcher was walks. He gave up some walks.
Okay.
More than you would like. So they compared the first 12 starts of his in 2021 and 22. So that was April 4th, 21 through June 30th, 14% walk rate. That was the 22nd highest of 280 pitchers in the majors.
Nice.
Not horrible, but not good.
No.
So then they took the most recent 12 starts from July 6th, 2021 through April 12th, 2022. Walk rate went down to 3%.
Really?
6th lowest of 304 pitchers that they looked at.
No.
Now, here's what's interesting. His first 12 starts, the zone rate, which is pitches that are in the zone, was 45%. The next 12 starts, it was 46%.
Interesting.
First 12 starts, 44% swing rate and a 25% chase rate, which is when batters swing at a pitch that's not a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Next 12 starts, 51% swing rate, 34% chase rate.
Huh.
So basically, he started throwing like more sliders and splitters,
mm-hmm.
pitches that were moving down in the zone, mm-hmm. and just got more batters to chase after them. Didn't pound the strike zone more.
Right.
Just got this. This is not something I'm not great at. I'm walking too many guys. And so over the course of 24 starts, or over the course of those second 12 starts, he improved from, as I said, went from 14% walk rate to 3%.
That's crazy.
It's impressive. This guy's just impressive. Everything he does he really is like the modern day Babe Ruth.
He still hard to compare. You can't, you can't put him in that, if he has a career, all right, and he's, 10, 12 years from now, we're still talking about this and it's still that level, if not better, fine. Then we'll discuss it then. But you're right. I mean, he's well on his way to having
just
an insane
what I mean is
career.
In the sense that Ruth was great at everything he did, right?
Right.
Not only was he a great
hitting,
hitter,
fielding, whatever.
he was a great pitcher.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm.
Well, Ohtani, here's one part of his game that was not really good. And that wasn't terrible, but it wasn't as good as sort of the other parts of his game. And he's like, I think I'll fix that. And he fixed it in a big way.
And
that's, and that, again, this is against Major League hitting. So pretty impressive. Pretty impressive young man. What is he? 16,
kudos to Shohei Ohtani. There you go.
Good for him.
And cheers to the Angels. So and Mr.
Still not going anywhere this year. But...
and Mr. Syndergaard's on the staff with him. So there you go.
Yeah, that's listen. Assuming he stays healthy, I hope good things for Thor.
There you go.
That'd be fine.
And I'll be quite honest with you, if he has a career year and he pitches amazing, no pun intended there, I'm sure he'll come on back. So 1 year deal he got with California. That was it.
Yeah.
California, listen to me. I'm sorry, Los Angeles.
Yeah, same thing.
Was it 40 years ago? So anyway, all right. It is quiz time. Get out your pens and papers. Harry, I forgot to ask you. I'd be remiss if I didn't say, do you have anything else in baseball you want to discuss?
No, Shohei Ohtani's hitting 160. Anyway, let's go.
Shohei Ohtani's hitting 160?
Yeah.
Gotcha. Well, how many plate appearances he had? Because he's
26.
not at the plate when he's
25. He leads the team in at bats.
Really?
Yeah.
Is he? Here's a question, really quick. Not to digress out of what we're doing, but is he? He's not the DH when he's not when he's pitching, is he? He's only batting when he's not pitching, right?
I think he batted the other day when he pitched.
So he was a DH. They left him in as a DH, and it was a pitcher, and he batted.
Pretty sure. Why wouldn't you?
Well, I don't know if he actually. I don't know if he actually did that last year or anything else. I don't know if he batted for himself last year. I mean, I guess he could have. I really didn't pay attention.
They created a rule so that the DH, if somebody did that, if one of the many people in Major League Baseball who's a starting pitcher as well as a DH, there's 7 or 8 or 9 of those guys.
Right.
They created a rule that if you take out the pitcher, you can leave the guy in as a DH. That's the Ohtani.
So if he's there you go.
So I would assume they're gonna do that.
So if he's DHing while he's pitching and then they take him out of the game, it's 2 different positions.
Right.
One's offense, one's defense. One has nothing to do with the other anymore. And
they had to create a new rule
for since '74 in the American League, but. Yeah, so
so he's not hitting well, but that's
not hitting well. But you know what? He was
doubtful that's going to stay
pitching.
anywhere near 161.
Well, and he's sort of having a so far this year. He's getting the same treatment DeGrom gets from his team.
Yeah,
I mean, he's got a 1.93 ERA, but he hasn't won a game yet pitching
because they can't hit.
Yeah, the run scored is 1.8.
Yeah, exactly. Yes. All right, quiz time. Here we go. Ready? Major League last week it did pitchers, current pitchers. We're gonna go back to pitchers from pitched between 2000 and 2010. Pitchers from between 2000
2000s pitchers.
2000s, that decade, the 2000s pitchers. I'm going to give you 6.
Just going to say right now, Mike Ditka is gone.
All right, you got it. And Tom and Brady's out of here. I got them both on the list. But
yeah, they're both
gone. All right, you give you 6. 4 got to stay. 2 got to go. Here we go. Write these down. Here we go. Randy Johnson. Randy.
What years is this again?
2000 through 2010. Randy Johnson. Now, I know he pitched in the 90s, too. Some of these guys did, but...
When did his career end?
08, I think.
Was it that long? Okay.
07, 08, 09. Yeah, it was late. It was, because I was at the Yankees. And
when he went to the Yankees.
Yeah, pretty much. Okay, Randy Johnson. Tim Hudson.
T-Hud.
Oh,
man.
Yeah. This guy right here. Johan Santana.
Okay.
Brandon Webb.
B-Webb.
Pedro.
Gonzalez?
Martinez.
Oh, okay.
And Kurt Schilling. Mr. Bloody Sock himself. So once again, Randy Johnson, Tim Hudson, Johan Santana, Brandon Webb, Pedro Martinez, and Kurt Schilling. Radio Pete, start us off.
Oh boy.
Who you keeping? Who you letting go?
Well, I think we got to keep the big unit.
All right. Who else?
I think I got to keep Pedro. I love
Fair
Pedro.
enough. All right.
Got to keep Schilling.
All right.
Well, that leaves me with just one more.
That leaves you with just one more. Tim Hudson, Johan Santana, or Brandon Webb? Who do you want? What's your flavor?
I should say Santana because
What happened? What happened to Webb? Was it an injury that ended?
I believe so, actually.
Because what did he play? Like maybe 6 years?
Let's find out. No, I think it was 7 or 8. It was more, maybe even 9, but it wasn't like a 15-year career or anything.
6 years. He played in 2009. He was 0-0. He had one game in 2009. So 7 years, but it's only really 6.
did he break his arm or something like that?
Yeah, I can't
7
remember
years,
what
yeah.
it was.
7 years, yeah.
Was he one of the guys that broke his arm on the mound or something?
Yeah.
But shoulder. He was placed on a disabled list with right shoulder bursitis. Imagine that.
Bursitis.
Same issue that Taiwan
Sorry,
Walker
Mr.
has right now.
Sorry, is it Walker or May?
Walker. Well,
Yeah,
May just has low grade.
Low grade
tricep strain.
All right.
Oh yeah, bursitis.
I'm going to go against the. Yeah, how can I not take Johan Santana? I'm going to take Tim Hudson.
Okay.
Because he's so handsome.
He's a handsome guy,
I think.
All right. So you're doing Randy Johnson, Tim Hudson, Pedro Martinez, and Kurt Schilling.
2 righties, 2 lefties.
There you go. Fair enough. Harry?
I don't know.
I know you have so much love for Randy Johnson and Kurt Schilling.
Well, I do actually.
Yeah. You didn't know one, but I get it.
They both. Yeah, they both. Schilling, we've talked about this before. I mean, he's on there without a doubt. So, I mean, all 3 of those guys were Yankee killers. Pedro Martinez is the biggest asshole in the history of baseball, but he's also one of the best pitchers of all time.
Yeah.
I mean, I think those 3, Randy Johnson, Pedro, and Kurt Schilling, are no-brainers. Brandon Webb, I can't have on here. It's just I don't. He was
so good though.
He was good for like 1 or 2 years, and then he was kind of his win-loss average.
But it was. I mean, he ramped up to those good years. It's not like his first year was mediocre, and then his second, third year were good, and then he
kind of a 500 pitcher with an above 300. I'm gonna, even though. I gotta go with Johan Santana as are we picking 4 or 3?
4.
So yeah, I'm gonna go with Johan Santana. Tim Hudson's right there. I mean, it's a toss up. Make your pick. Webb is just he had those good years. Look, Santana and Hudson is really close. Johan Santana just had a slightly better overall numbers in the 2000s, but
Brandon Webb was a 3-time All-Star. He won the Cy Young in 2006.
I get that.
Win 2-time National League wins leader.
He was 16-8 though in the year when he won with a 3.10 ERA.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't play as long. He's 22-7 in the and that was actually his best year.
Mm-hmm.
Was 2008, and then he got hurt. So never only 1 year with only a few games under 300 right. Or under 3 on an ERA. I'm going to take Johan Santana. I mean, I'm not.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I do. I will say this about Webb is that he had some good. He did have 2 years where he came in second in the Cy Young.
Yep.
And 1 year where he won it. And that 1 year where he won it, I'm not so sure he should have. That's just my take.
Did he come in second twice before he won it?
No, after.
Okay.
Yeah.
And both of those
first year he won it was the first year he was in it. So.
Yeah. So I don't know. He 87 and 62 all time. 3.27 ERA.
That's not bad.
It's not bad. You can't go wrong with any of these guys. Look, I think it drops off. The 6 that you gave us, I think the top 3 are no-brainers.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to go with Johan Santana. I know it's probably not a popular pick for you guys because I don't know, he disappointed you in some way, shape, or form. But
no, he didn't disappoint me. I mean, we only got our only no hitter from off his arm. Of course, his career was done at that point.
And then we ruined it.
Not that he was at the end of his career, but his career was done because of that day.
I also think he did it on teams that weren't as competitive as Hudson. I mean, Hudson looked. I think of him as
Santana was on the Twins and the Mets.
So I don't know. It's a toss-up. I'm going to go with Johan, just because I think he did more. Although Tim Hudson is a workhorse, and
Tim Hudson was a big workhorse. I mean, if we're keeping track,
17 years, and his first year is 1999. He was a 20. Again, he was another guy who tailed off. His best year is probably 2000, 2001. Mm-hmm. But overall, I think Santana had a better career.
Yeah, I have to say, I'm gonna just let you know my picks. Obviously, I'm taking the big unit as well, and I would take him as well, and Pedro and Kurt Schilling and Johan Santana. That would be my pick. But Tim Hudson, and I will say, was right there as well. So
I'll take any of them right now to be the Yankees' number 1 starter. Yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely. I get you. That would probably work.
I mean, how old is Brandon Webb? He can't be. I mean, I know that injury was, but let's get him in there.
Brandon Webb's only like
39,
43.
Same thing. So they're all about the same age. I think Johan Santana's 43 too. I'm guessing Tim Hudson is about maybe even younger.
No, maybe.
He's 40. Right. He's 46.
He's be right around there. Yeah.
Well, Randy Johnson's 109, right?
Right.
Last August he was 109.
Yeah. Brandon Webb's the youngest. He's 42.
There you go.
You throw him out there give you 4 innings. That's all the starter needs to do now, right?
It was sad because I do think he had some years ahead of him. But look, yeah, I think Johan Santana and Brandon Webb would be my 1-2. Tim Hudson, workhorse and a good pitcher.
Right.
Not going to complain about any of them. I just think Santana, just for the longevity of what he did in the 2000s, I'm going to put him ahead. But it's a toss-up.
Fair enough. All right. So you're going with.
Phew. We almost had 2 weeks in a row.
If you come with Tim Hudson, that would have been 2 weeks in a row that the two of you agreed on all.
I wanted to go Hudson, but I just felt like Santana and Webb both just, had better accolades, better numbers. They're both Cy Young winners. I think Santana won it twice, didn't he? Maybe not.
No.
No, he did.
Yeah, no. Yeah, well, in Minnesota, but.
Well, that doesn't count.
Well, he came in,
I don't consider that winning.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Winning a Cy Young award in Minnesota is tough.
It is very tough.
Those 19 and 16 win seasons, if he was on another team, might have been 24 and 28 win seasons. So I'm going to stick with Santana. I think Webb would have been my second. Hudson would have been my third. But
Johan Santana, 2 Cy Youngs, 04 and 06 with Minnesota, and then pitched another year, and then came to the Mets from. Only pitched. I mean, he was on the Mets for 5 years. Only pitched for 4, 08, 09, 10, and 2012.
Wasn't he? Didn't he have a pretty good year his first year on the Mets?
Yeah, he had great seasons with the Mets all the way through. He was the ERA leader his first year with the Mets. And whatchamacallit, his he was really dominant. I mean, it was great to have him on the Mets. But and believe me, I'm happy that the Mets have that no-hitter, and that was a great day tit was a Friday night. I was watching that game, but yeah, that was it. That was his career. That was it. It was done. He was done because of that day. But yeah, he did have 2 Cy Youngs with the Twins. So there you go.
All right, good quiz.
And there you have it. All right, cool.
Who had more wins, Kurt Schilling or Pedro Martinez?
Kurt Schilling or Pedro Martinez? Kurt Schilling had.
Pedro Martinez had 3 more.
Yeah,
Kurt Schilling had
Pedro-
216. Yeah. Pedro Martinez at 219. Yeah.
Only 100 losses though in his career. Pedro didn't pitch as long as he pitched a lot of years. There was a couple of years there where he battled some injuries and didn't play in a lot of games. But he must have had a lot of no decisions.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
I mean, still, he's out of those 3. He's the only one with an ERA, a career ERA under 3.
Right.
2.93. You got to think of Pedro and is one of the best of all time. Maybe top 10, certainly, maybe top 5. He didn't, and granted, he didn't have the wins that Randy Johnson had. Johnson's ERA is a lot higher, and I'd still put Johnson ahead of Martinez, but not by much. Not by much.
Yeah, I agree. If it wasn't for the fact that Yohan Santana went to the Phillies for a season after he was on the Mets for 4 years.
Right.
He was on the staff with the Mets with Yohan Santana for a year too. His last year with the Mets was Santana's first year with the Mets, but if he didn't go to Phillies, then they both would have finished their careers with the Mets. So,
which is about right.
Which is just about right. So there you go. All right, there you go. Good quiz tonight. Good job. All right, let's discuss. I got a couple things really quick on football. We're gonna do a lot of football, not a lot, but a decent amount of football for the offseason. Obviously, in 2 weeks for the draft week, we got that quiz we talked about. We're doing the best running backs in the 2000s.
I wanted to say before we move on to football, Rockies 4-1.
Rockies off to a good start. Beat up on the Dodgers. Should have been 3-0 against the Dodgers. Beating a pretty good Texas team in Texas right now, and they're hitting the ball. They're scoring runs. I think the DH is helping them because they can have Joe play first base and CJ Cron DH. They're a scrappy bunch. We'll see if it holds up. My big concern is their arms.
Right.
Yeah.
But so far so good. So far so good.
Which we have and just to cover Chicago because we said we will.
Yeah.
The Cubs are 3-2. Lost today to the Pirates actually. The 2-3 Pirates, and the White Sox are 3-1 and beating the Mariners right now 4-1. Bottom of 4th.
The Cubs will be in Colorado tomorrow.
This weekend, big weekend, which means that the stadium will be 98% people
full
from
of
Chicago.
Cubs.
Of course, Denver is 73% people from Chicago. So,
is it really?
Or the suburbs of Chicago? Yeah, there is probably not a 24 to 32-year-old male left in Chicago. They're all here.
They're all somewhere else.
They've all moved to Denver and around.
Yes.
Yeah. If you look at all the divisions, are the White Sox the team that is most likely to run away with their division?
Yes.
Probably, right?
Yeah, I think that's the one division where the parity just isn't there.
Yeah. Yeah, I have to.
Although, look, Cleveland's off to a good start.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't think it's going to be 20 games necessarily, but
I think Minnesota and Detroit
like
and Kansas City are going to struggle. So that's why I think Chicago, Cleveland will hang around, but I think Chicago will run away with it.
Speaking of the Twins, I don't know if you saw the other night, but Mr. Sanchez went yard.
He has one home run. Yeah, he's hitting, I think, he's doing what Gary Sanchez does. Right. He's able to DH a little bit, which is good.
There you go.
He's probably happy to be out of that situation. So
yeah, I wish him the best, but I'm not going to get excited when he has one hit.
Right.
Yeah, he's hitting 222. He's got a hit tonight. So
wrong. He hit a home run.
There you go.
He's 1 for 3 tonight with 2 strikeouts. He's hitting 222 to 263 on base percentage, which is an improvement so far. So good for Gary.
He's moving up. And just Texas, I guess they gotta figure themselves out, right? They
do.
They made some really good moves, but the team has to play together a little bit.
Well, it's their pitching. They just don't have. They've made improvements with the pitching, but they just don't have the depth of pitching that. And it's going to take some time for them to kind of piece together because it's kind of a whole new team.
Yeah, they've scored 28 but allowed 30.
Yes,
so
not good.
Hey, look,
not a recipe for
success. Kyle Higashioka is hitting .059. So
he's hitting 059.
So is Isaiah Kiner Falafel. Yeah.
Falafel.
Yeah.
Wiz Khalifa's cousin.
Yeah. Gleyber Torres is still a big, giant disappointment. I will say this. I'm happy for Aaron Hicks. Hopefully this is a sign for what's going to come for this year. He's off to a pretty good start. And he certainly makes them a better team on both sides of the, at in the field and at the plate if he can continue to be even 80% of what Aaron Hicks is capable of being. So
right. So, all right, cool. Yeah, just looking through the standings here. There's only one team that has 5 wins.
That's your New York Mets.
That would be correct. Yeah, I mean that division right now. They're Phillies 3-3, Atlanta 3-4, Washington 3-4, and Miami 1-4. So
couldn't have it to a nicer team.
Chad Green's pitching for the Yankees. I think he already has 29 innings pitched already.
29 in the third, yeah.
And if he has to come out of the game, Sean Green's actually going to be pitching.
That's right. Every time I turn on a Yankees game, it's usually the game's already started. So I feel like it's like the odds of having a Tom Petty song on the classic rock station is equal to the odds that Chad Green is going to be in the game pitching.
We're probably in the.
In other words,
so Green might
pretty
be
high
in by now.
Pretty high, yeah. Do this, everybody at home. Play this game. Find your classic rock stations. Every major city usually has 1 or 2. Mm-hmm. At any point in the day, there will be either an AC/DC, a Tom Petty, or a Def Leppard song on those
you're forgetting
stations.
Pink Floyd.
No, nope. I'm telling you.
I don't think Floyd gets as much coverage.
Really? Well,
yeah. Here's one.
Petty covers a broader swath.
Oh, Petty's number 1. Petty's number 1.
He could be on the adult contemporary station or the
number
classic
2.
rock. Yeah.
But you got to put Floyd up there. Floyd's in the top
not
5.
higher than Def Leppard. I'm just saying these are this is the big.
Those are the top 3. You're right, but I'm just saying the rounding out the top 5 is definitely Floyd's in there.
Well, I would say Journey and
no, Van Halen. Van Halen's in.
Not as much as Journey.
It depends on what classic rock station you listen to. So anyway,
I wish they would play some other Bon Jovi song.
Oh God!
Besides "Living on a Prayer."
Yeah, my favorite.
I know some people hate
the Bon Jovi song that I would like to hear.
To say Tommy used to work on the docks is gospel. Okay, come on.
Bon Jovi's garbage.
Hey.
He's got a couple of good songs though.
He's done. He knows what people want, but they are.
Yes, yeah. There's a formula to it.
A little runaway started it all out.
He put on a good show, but listen, a lot of that. I don't know. There's a lot of people I see.
He put on a good show because he put on some leather pants and they had him teabagging teenagers. As they flew over there.
He did go out over the audience in the trapeze thing. And
I've seen Bon Jovi once, and it was only 5 songs. It was that Live Earth concert that Al Gore put on back in the day.
How was Al Gore? Was he good? What did he play?
Al Gore played a little ukulele. A little ukulele he played, and he sung "Tiptoe Through the Tulips." He sung like Tiny Tim.
I heard he did I heard he did a cover of "Come Together" by the Beatles. It was
on the ukulele. It was really cool. You had to be there, but
the "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" medley.
Right, exactly. But no, it was the only time I've ever seen Bon Jovi, and it was just 5 songs during that.
Was it the only time you've ever seen Al Gore?
It was the only time. Well, no, actually, I've seen Al Gore twice. Both times at Giant Stadium. Once for the Live Earth concert, and once for it was a Giants.
Was he a linebackers coach for the Eagles?
It was the Giants Minnesota. It was a Monday Night Football game in '94. against the Vikings, and the Giants. There was the night that they were retiring Lawrence Taylor's number.
They're retiring Al Gore's
They're
number.
retiring Al Gore's number.
He was the judge for the punt pass.
He was an inside linebacker.
He was, yeah,
And
most
a
of the
long
time.
snapper.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
very long snapper. But in any event, he was there for the Lawrence Taylor retirement.
Good.
Number retirement that night. But anyway, all right.
Lawrence Taylor's retirement benefited the environment highly.
Exactly.
An entire crop is
there were thousands and thousands,
There's
if
lots
not
of
millions of plants
savings
that
of
got
water.
to live. Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly. Anyway, all right. Well, on that note, we have successfully segued to football, even though there's only like one or two quick things I want to just mention.
Go for it.
It's not even anything to discuss. I just want to mention these two things.
Let's definitely put it in the show then.
Number one. Exactly. Well, I want to make a point of it. Here we go.
All right.
Number one. Obviously Tom Brady back, the whole 9 yards. Bruce Arians retired. Blah 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 blah. Multiple sources have stated. I don't know if I haven't discussed it with you two, but multiple sources have stated that Brady was actually during the offseason, so far at the beginning of it, was actually going to become a minority owner of the Dolphins.
Yep.
And that fell through. So it leads me to believe that that's where he was heading. It fell through, and he said, "Screw it! I still want to be in football. Let me play again." So,
well, actually, I was going to bring this up too, and if you go back, I don't remember the exact wording, but when he retired, he didn't say, "I'm retiring from football." It was something like
retiring from playing the game or something.
Yeah. So this was apparently, and they're looking at uncovering this, a whole plot where Steve, I think his first name is Steve Ross, is the owner of the Dolphins. Was going to bring Brady in as an executive for a year, and then they were going to try and get Tampa Bay to release his contractual agreement, and then he was going to play quarterback for the Dolphins. And they were going to bring in, what's his name, the coach from New Orleans.
Oh, Sean Payton. Yes, you're right.
Payton.
I did.
That was part of the deal too.
That was part of it too. Yeah.
So this was a whole little scheme that these guys were working up, and it fell through because Brian Flores brought his lawsuit, and all of a sudden, a lot of people started to pay attention to the Dolphins, and there were
Brady realized I got no chance of winning anything.
Well,
there.
Here's the thing, makes me wonder. Yeah, I would tend to think there's probably a lot of people in the NFL who have contacts all over, right? It's a small universe. Remember the Bill Belichick and the oops, I sent the text to the wrong Brian.
This is what I always say.
I wonder if that wasn't his way of putting a kibosh on this.
That's what I always
bringing.
He caught wind of it and figured this will be a way we can obviously get Brian Flores to be really friggin' pissed off, and something will happen and blah 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 blah.
Just bring more attention to Miami, and then they'll never be able to go through with this deal. Which, depending on who you read,
game, set, match.
Yeah. So depending on who
winner,
you read,
Belichick.
None of this was necessarily illegal, but certainly seems kind of puts Ross in an even worse light. Remember, he supposedly wanted Flores to throw games.
Right.
He was going to pay him money for losing games, tanking for Tua, and also said you need to bring in a big name quarterback. And then when he didn't do that, but really where this might run into legality, at least as far as the league rules go, is okay. So you were going to hire another coach, and you were going to hire another executive in Tom Brady, and you were going to bypass the Rooney Rule to do it. So, which is where the Dolphins might ultimately get in trouble, at least with the league.
Right.
Is that if this whole thing had gone around. So very interesting. Now, the other reports that I saw said that when the scrutiny got on the Dolphins and everybody said, nope, we can't do this. And Brady said, okay, I'm going to go back to Tampa Bay. The reports that I saw said that he and Arians did not have a great relationship. And the front office kind of pushed Bruce Arians to definitively retire, whether he was thinking about it or not.
So it wasn't a Bruce Arians decision. It was a Tom Brady decision.
It was kind of a Tom Brady via the front office decision. So again, we're still waiting for more
I find that hard to
that.
believe.
But
I find that
I know that's.
I think Brady
would have
went to Tampa Bay.
I don't know.
Well, he went there, and one of the reasons he went there was because Bruce Arians was there.
Right, but I don't know. Maybe it wasn't a super happy marriage. Maybe he got there and it wasn't everything that everybody was.
Well, he got there, it wasn't everything, but they still won a damn Super Bowl. So I mean,
but one of the reports
not a super happy marriage is why he unretired after a month.
What some of the reports were saying is that I forget who the offensive coordinator is for Tampa Bay.
Todd Bowles.
He's the head coach now. He was a defensive.
He was.
No, he's defensive coordinator. Whoever the offensive
you
coordinator
meant offensive coordinator?
Yeah. He and Tom Brady.
What's his face? Yeah.
It's a name.
Leftwich, Byron Leftwich.
Yeah, Byron Leftwich. Thank you.
Yeah.
He and Tom Brady would work out a game plan all through the week, and then Bruce Arians would come in, as he has a right to do as the head coach, and according to the report, take the red pen to it. And he really pissed off his offensive coordinator and his quarterback, who's the GOAT. And that was really the source.
Look, they won a Super Bowl, and they were one play away from being there again.
Yeah.
I understand that.
And by the way, Brady coming back to the Bucs has them as the second team. They're number 2 as far as favorites to win the Super Bowl.
I understand that, but that doesn't mean it wasn't dysfunctional. I'm just saying this is what's being reported. I don't know whether it's all true or not, but maybe it wasn't all hunky dory.
Maybe it wasn't
at first, but maybe over the course of a couple of years it wasn't.
Yeah. And they didn't. I mean, you know what? It might have been happier if they did win a second Super Bowl, and quite frankly, if they did win a second Super Bowl this past season, Brady may very well have just been done.
Maybe
went there 2 years, won both Super Bowls.
But that was also part of the reports, is that he never had any intention of retiring. Right? Mm-hmm. He said he was going to play till 45.
Right.
But things kind of got sour in Tampa Bay.
And then that report came out before he even made an announcement. So
Right. So I don't know.
What else?
All right.
And one other thing on football, really quick. Jason Garrett, former offensive coordinator for the Giants, former head coach of the Cowboys, is returning to football.
Of course he is.
Got a new job. He is now an analyst for NBC Sports.
Oh, is he going to be in the booth with his old buddy?
He's an analyst for NBC Sports, covering the USFL.
Oh,
so NBC Sports coverage of the USFL. Jason Garrett is the analyst. So, and that starts this weekend. The USFL. So first game of the season is this Saturday night.
We are not talking about the USFL.
No, I'm not. Just saying it's the New Jersey Generals versus the Birmingham Stallions.
In Birmingham, right?
Every game is in Birmingham. Yeah.
So Jason Garrett would rather spend his year in Birmingham, Alabama than try to get a job in the NFL.
Apparently so.
All right.
And you see who I didn't even realize this until the other day. You see who is one of the executives of the USFL?
Donald Trump?
No.
Oh no, that was the first time.
Yeah, your boy, Pete. Daryl Johnston.
Yeah. Oh, Moose.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's my number 5 all-time running back of the 2000s.
Yeah, you're running back.
His career ended in '93.
And when he turned on that speed from the backfield, it was amazing. I
tell you what, he was one of the top 5 blocking backs of all time.
Yeah.
But anyway, so yeah. And there's no ownership. It's one league owns all the teams. So like you would said, Pete, they're saving money in travel expenses and everything else.
All playing in the same place.
Yeah, it's all 8 teams from 8 different cities, and they're all living in Birmingham, playing in Birmingham.
Good for Birmingham. Birmingham gets something. That's good.
Yeah, good for them. What else do they have?
Next year they can have it in Schenectady.
Football. They have Alabama. Yeah,
they have Alabama football. One of the best college teams ever.
They have USFL. They have the USFL.
Well, the winner of the USFL gets to play Alabama.
I think that might be, yeah.
Yeah, the USFL and Nick Saban, and they're good to go.
That'd be the Saban Bowl.
There you go. The winner of the USFL.
The Birmingham
plays Alabama. That's great.
All right. Here's my last thing. So I don't know if you heard about the controversy with the Washington Commanders, but a 20-page letter sent from the House Committee on Oversight and Reform, that's in the U.S. Congress, by the way,
Yes,
to the Federal Trade Commission says, and these are the allegations, and these allegations were made by a 24-year employee of the Commanders named Jason Friedman, who testified before the committee in March, says that Daniel Snyder and company apparently had 2 sets of books that they were using for the Commanders, the Washington football team, the Redskins. One of which included underreported ticket revenue, which were reportedly maintained by the former CFO and another employee, and then another set of books which had the actual numbers that went to Daniel Snyder. And there are reports of not refunding security deposits for season ticket holders, and also perhaps withholding revenue that was due to go into the pool that went to some of the other teams. If any of this really turns out to be true, this could be really, really bad news for the Washington Commanders and Daniel Snyder. Now, Snyder apparently has pictures of other NFL owners with underage girls or something. I don't know, because he's always pulling some stupid shit, and he's gotten away with it all the time. But I don't know what he's got on those guys, but now you're talking about taking money. He's taking money out of their pockets and ripping off the fans and lying to the government with basically cooking. It's a Shawshank Redemption. Got the set of books that goes in the safe, and then and then the one that details everything that actually happened, right? That he puts in the safe at the end, so that the warden's going to get busted.
You know, I mean, completely illegal. Absolutely ridiculous and stupid, and in the Capitol.
Right.
It's not like they were in Seattle and hiding amongst the
and they're not the
tall
USFL.
Trees and mountains and everything.
It's the NFL.
Right.
So shady practices, shady revenue practices that led to more profits over many years. Again, made by
allegedly.
What's
enough allegedly that the Congress committee sent a 20-page letter to the FTC saying you need to look into this.
What now? Here's I'm just going to say this. What's the over/under on Daniel Snyder's continuing ownership of the Washington Commanders? This year, next year, forever? Does he get out of it? Is he done? I mean, there's been more shit come down on this team.
Yeah.
Oh, and apparently all rightfully so. I'm not saying that they're a target or anything by any means, but just one thing after another, story after another, after another story, after another story, after another. What the hell is going on there?
Look.
You know, when is Roger Goodell going to come in and say, "Look, enough is enough. Sell the damn team. Get the hell out of here."
That's the thing. Look,
let John Riggins and the Hogs buy it.
The FTC is investigating right now. That's currently happening. So that's got to happen. They've got to find that there's wrongdoing, right? There is going to be a criminal process. All of this could take years. Sure. But what you just said, John, the short way is because with the NFL, we know the commissioner works for the owners. It's true in most sports leagues, but I think more so in the NFL, right? He is there to do their bidding.
Absolutely.
So if enough of these owners go, hey, we want him gone, and that's how he would be gone, right? They'd have to vote on that.
Yep.
So
they'd have to vote on it, and if they vote for it, he'd have to sell the team. He doesn't have a choice.
If he was ripping them off,
and that's not just in-house stuff. That's not just underhanded, sneaky, shady bullshit that they do in-house. That's affecting the league.
Right. That's what I mean. He's ripping off the fans. He's also ripping off the other owners.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
So, that's
and they
kind
still
of
stink.
Yeah, they're still no good. Yeah, but they're rich. Or at least richer than they would have been otherwise.
Right. Yeah,
according to the allegations. So we'll see how that all plays out.
Well, he had to do something to pay Ryan Fitzpatrick's salary.
Oh, yeah, that's just it. Right. Maybe he was bored. Well, we suck. We lose every year. How do we make some more money? I don't know.
Who knows? I don't know. All right. Well, there you go. That is football for this week. All right. let's mosey on to a little bit of basketball talk, and we'll be good to go. We want to kick it off with our top team list. It's not top 10 list.
Top
While we
team
do
list.
these basketball team top team list, we'll call it. This week is top Chicago Bulls of all time. Top Chicago Bulls of all time. So we're going to kick it off with the first team. As you know, we do with these basketball lists, we do first team by position, second team by position, and then bench. So we're going to kick it off with our first team. Our first team is going to be the following. Here we go. All right. Our starting for the first team, starting point guard is going to be Mr. Derrick Rose. Derrick Martell Rose. Our starting shooting guard is, and I quote, and this is a quote from this week and last week for Radio Pete. Duh. All right. That was me, Mr. Michael.
I think I might have had an exclamation point.
You had a couple exclamation points on this one.
Yeah.
Michael Jeffrey Jordan. There you go. MJ. Air Jordan. Jordan.
Even I know that.
Air Jordan.
Air Jordan?
Air Jordan.
That's if he played for New York.
Yeah, your Jersey accent is coming out to
I want to see some Air Jordan here.
Let's talk about the Bulls. Yeah, Jordan.
Talk about the Bulls.
Air Jordan when he shorted that shot.
Exactly.
That was kind of a Boston, I think.
So Air Jordan, his airness, Michael Jordan. There you go. All right. Our starting small forward is going to be, and nothing small about this man, Mr. Scottie Pippen. Scottie Maurice Pippen Sr. There you go. Still say he's what's his name? From
I don't know.
Damn it. I'll think of it.
He's Scottie Pippen.
No. We'll come back to it. The Humpty Dance. What is it? Digital Underground. That was the lead singer's name. I still say with the nose, right? Yeah. I still say he's his long lost twin. There you
go. Did you guys see the documentary thing, The Last Dance?
I didn't watch all of it. I didn't finish it.
Scottie Pippen's got the greatest voice.
Oh yeah,
my God.
He's definitely
he's like 2 octaves below low. It's amazing to listen to.
He's like Barry White was jealous.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, all right. Scottie Pippen is our first team small forward. Our starting power forward is Mr. Dennis Rodman. Worm, the Worm, Dennis Keith Rodman. Otherwise known as the world traveler and frequents Korea, Dennis Rodman, and of course our starting center is Mr. Artisa Gilmore right there. Artis Gilmore, no middle name for Mr. Gilmore there.
Oh really?
No.
Yeah, he was a monster too.
Yeah. 7'2" was his listed height. His actual height was 8'9".
Yeah.
Anyway, so there you go. That's our starting team. Derrick Rose, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, Dennis Rodman, and Artis Gilmore. Gentlemen, would you like to discuss any of them?
Silence. They're all pretty good.
Pretty freaking good, right?
Who was, obviously Michael Jordan is the biggest no-brainer, right?
Obviously, right.
Who was the second no-brainer? Was it Rose, Pippen, or Gilmore?
Pippen.
Gilmore,
yeah. Gilmore and Pippen were 2 and 3, depending on how you look at it. But yeah.
For me, it was Rose, but more because of the
lack of great
point guards in Chicago history than anything else. But in other words, of all, there's nobody else obviously you put above Scottie Pippen, but you could make an argument for
above who? Scottie Pippen,
right? I mean, they're all no brainers, but
right.
There was no question about Derrick Rose being the best at that position in Chicago history.
No, I agree. And where's he now?
In street clothes at the
pretty
Garden.
much.
Well, no, now he's home.
Well, they're all home now.
Now he's in street clothes at home.
He's in street clothes playing golf.
He's recuperating.
I think his career is over.
You don't think he's gonna try and come back?
I think he's gonna try to come back. I think it's a mistake for the Knicks to bring him back.
Yeah.
Is he under contract with them anymore?
I don't know.
Yeah, still has another year, I believe.
Oh. Well, listen, maybe he missed a lot of time, so he could be fresh.
This is true.
If they keep him in the role they had designed for him, right, coming off the bench and sparking the bench, he'd be fine. Probably be okay.
True story. True story. Well, I mean, he's only 33. It's not like he's ancient, you know.
And he's well,
He'll be 34 at the beginning of next season.
A lot of wear and tear, a lot of injuries.
Yeah,
Oh, of course, yeah. But so there you go. But
he could give you like 8-10 minutes a game though.
Yeah, come off the bench and play. So all right, let's move on to second team. What do you think?
Sure.
All right, let's do the second team. Second team starting point guard is Mr. Norm Van Leer. There we go. Norman Allen Van Leer III, to be exact.
Only point guard to have his number retired, I think, by the Bulls.
I believe so. Is he retired?
Did they retire his number? I think no. Jordan and Pippen, and then was it Jerry Sloan and Bob Love? Maybe Norm.
Bob Love's retired, and
I would think Sloan's number would be
maybe
retired.
Norm Van Leer's isn't, but
Sloan's not retired.
He was a
no. Sloan's number's not retired. But yeah, Bobby Love's number's retired. But anyway, we'll get to that. So yeah, point guard, starting point guard for the second team, Norm Van Leer. All right, moving on to starting shooting guard for the second team.
Jerry Sloan's number is retired.
Would be Jerry Sloan. It is retired.
Mm-hmm.
So the original Bull. Yeah, I don't have it here, but his number. No, I have his number 52 is retired by the Evansville Purple Aces.
His number 4 is retired by the Chicago Bulls.
Not on
10.
I believe it's not on this list. That's all.
Okay.
So my bad, but my bad for looking at a bad list. Wrong information. So yeah, Gerald Eugene Sloan. His number is retired. The original Bull. There you go, shooting guard. All right, moving on to starting or second team small forward, Mr. Chet Walker. Chester Walker, to be exact. And his number is not retired. 7-time All-Star, though, for the Knicks. 82 years old. Still playing. Still playing. He's playing for the
he's on the Pelicans.
The Knicks are signed.
He's on the Spurs or the Pelicans.
The Knicks are signing a 3-year deal next year.
Yeah.
But anyway, all right, Chet Walker. Our second team power forward, of course, Bobby Love. And it was we mentioned this before, not off the show before we started. And I will bring it up. Harry and I actually had Bob Love as our first team power forward, and RadioPete had Dennis Rodman, and Harry and I had Dennis Rodman listed. But the way the voting goes for these lists that we do, Dennis actually edged out Bob Love by a point. So he jumped up to first team, and Bob Love.
I did not have Bob Love on my list, so he got 0 points for me.
Had you even had him on your bench, he would have stayed in the first team.
But we all had Dennis Rodman somewhere.
Exactly.
So he got points from all three of us.
So Bobby Love, Butterbean, Robert Earl Butterbean Love. So there you go. And of course, our second team center is Mr. Joakim Noah. And
we were all in agreement about that too.
We were all in agreement about Joakim Noah. Yeah, Joakim Simon Noah. Born in New York City, and played for the Knicks for a few years. Not too well, but played for the Knicks for a few years after leaving Chicago. But I mean, he was in Chicago for 10 seasons. So, but there you go. So, there you go. That Joakim Noah rounds out our second team. You guys want to discuss Norm Van Leer, Jerry Sloan, Chet Walker, Bobby Love, Butterbean Love, or Joakim Noah?
I mean, I think Bob Love's, an older, has played a long time ago, so not a lot of people really, remember him. He's not one of those names that kind of rolls off the tongue, so to speak. Jerry Sloan, one of the things with the Bulls is, I think a lot of these guys make these lists because of their defense. When you look at somebody like Scottie Pippen, Jerry Sloan, Rodman, even Gilmore to a certain extent, these guys were great defensive players. And it's these lists are interesting because you have to pick by position. So
Right.
Jerry Sloan's probably a top 5 all time. Bull Bob Love's probably there as well. Rodman's probably in the top 10, but it's just because of these positions. And I did struggle with Rodman on my second team. I really, really did a lot of thought between him and Horace Grant. And I gave the edge to Rodman because his rebounding numbers were absolutely astounding.
Crazy.
Especially in the playoffs.
Crazy. Yeah.
And he probably had his best years as a Bull. And Rodman had some good years with Detroit. He had some good years with San Antonio and the other teams that he bounced around with. But statistically, especially on the defensive side and rebounding wise, he was on. I think I'll put it this way. I think the Bulls, the first 3, Pete, I think they would have a chance to do it with Rodman in lieu of Horace Grant. I think Horace Grant played with better centers. I think Dennis Rodman, if Horace Grant was still on the Bulls for that second, Pete, I think they still could have done it, but I think Rodman really was the X factor. I really do.
These lists are always there's a lot of factors to consider. You've got to look at stats and Harry, I'm coming around a little bit towards your, looking at playoffs too and what they meant. I'm getting a little bit towards, leaning towards that with some of, and I think this list definitely reflects that as far as this pick in particular. Rodman was key to those second championships. Now Horace Grant was
a great player.
But Rodman was something special and something different.
Rodman was a
game changer. Despite all the distractions, they still won, and that's why I gave him the first spot. And probably, I don't know, why I left Bob Love off the list. Or maybe maybe I didn't, because his numbers are really good.
Well, there's a bunch of really good power forwards for the Bulls. I mean, Taj Gibson was a great power forward for the Bulls too.
Charles Oakley. Oakley didn't play.
Oakley played 5 seasons total, 3 and then 2. But
the years that Oakley was on the Bulls, his rebounding numbers were Rodman.
Yeah, they were great.
Oakley had his best years statistically.
There was definitely a plethora of good big men for the Bulls.
And you look at Carlos Boozer. You look at Bob Boozer. I mean, there was
Carlos Boozer was absolutely.
Yeah.
They definitely had a good
but I mean our
series of good power forwards.
Again, our first teams and our second teams only have one difference. You guys are in lockstep.
Yeah.
And I've got Rodman instead of Love, and I've got Horace Grant on the second team instead of Dennis Rodman.
And we both have Horace Grant on our bench.
Yeah. So. And you both have Horace Grant, and we all have Bob Boozer. Well, we're going to go over the bench in a second.
We're going to do it now. Let's do the bench now.
I think we only have one difference on the bench, right?
There was one difference on the bench, and
a couple differences on the bench.
Yeah. So there you go. So here's our bench. Our bench, of course, the aforementioned Horace Grant.
Great player. And by the way, his Magic team, only team to ever knock Michael Jordan out of a playoff.
This is very true. This is very true. Very true. And one other quick note too.
And don't you think he reminds Michael Jordan of that?
Absolutely.
The way every chance he gets, the way Jordan reminds Barkley that he never won a title.
I think had the Magic the Magic should have won the championship that year.
Yeah. They
Kobe had something different to say.
A little bit.
Well, listen, there was some, experience and youth.
Who did the Magic? Was it the Lakers that beat the Magic in the finals?
I think so.
Was it the Lakers that beat the Magic? No, in '95.
Yeah.
No, it was the Rockets.
What's it? Yeah,
Rockets won 2 in a row.
Oh yeah. Okay.
The Bulls won 3.
Right.
Rockets won 2, and the Bulls won 3.
Yeah, Hakeem's not one of the best centers of all time. He beat Patrick Ewing and Shaq back to back to win championships.
Right. Yeah, not at all. And here's a fun fact about Horace Grant's name. His name is actually Horace Jr. Grant Sr.
Yeah.
Wow. So, there you go.
Now, is it JR or the actual word junior?
The actual word junior.
Interesting.
Horace Jr. Grant Sr. which means his son is Horace Jr. Grant Jr.
Maybe.
You know what you guess. You know,
Mhm.
I would probably name him Junior Horace Grant Jr.
Junior Horace Grant. So
But then he wouldn't really be a junior.
So he's junior senior.
Yeah.
And
Junior
then
Horace
junior
Grant Senior.
Right. Junior
This
Horace
has
Grant
been the Horace Grant segment of the podcast. Anybody under the age of 25, do you know who Horace Grant is?
Do you have any
Look him
clue
up.
whatsoever? Exactly.
Look him up, kids.
Great goggles. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Who's the rest of the bench there?
Who's the rest of the bench? Let's move on to the rest of the bench. Rest of the bench is the aforementioned Bob Boozer. There you go. Robert Louis Boozer.
He had some gaudy numbers.
Just a few.
Yep.
Just a few. Yeah. 12,964 points, 7,119 rebounds, and 1,237 assists. So crazy numbers. Anyway. All right. To continue the bench, we have Mr. Reggie Theus, Reginald Wayne Theus. Right now, he's a head coach for the Bethune-Cookman Wildcats.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm. Anyway, all right, and of course, rounding out our bench is Mr. Orlando Woolridge. You want to say it the way you
Orlando Woolridge.
There you go. All right, that's our bench. You want to discuss the bench at all? Bring it up. Horace Grant, Bob Boozer. We've talked about Horace Grant earlier, but Boozer.
Orlando Woolridge and Reggie Theus are guys who probably don't come to mind very often, but they were both really good players.
Yeah.
Yeah. Theus was a terrible three-point shooter, but
you know, this Bulls team, I don't think quite lines up with the history of like the Celtics or the Lakers or even the Knicks to a certain degree. Right. However, out of this, I think if you were to pick an all-time defensive team, they might have 3 of the top 5 starters or 4 of the top 5 starters.
Right.
I mean, it's incredible. Here's one thing about Michael Jordan that I think people don't realize. Okay. He's the all-time leader in games, minutes played, field goals, field goal attempts, 2-point field goals, 2-point field goal attempts. Okay. Free throws and free throws attempts. He is the all-time total rebound leader. Yes. Michael Jordan is the all-time total rebound, assists, and steals, as well as points. And he's second in all-time blocks.
And that's for what?
Michael Jordan is second on the Bulls in all-time blocks.
Oh, on the Bulls. Okay.
Yeah, on the Bulls. Okay.
I thought you meant on the Wizards.
He's number 1 in points per games. He's
probably number 1 on the Bulls.
He's number 1 on the Wizards. Yeah.
Number 1 on the Wizards.
Did I say Wizards?
No. He was making a joke. He's number 2 on the Bulls in all-time blocks. He's probably number 1 on the Wizards.
Yeah, he played 8 games for the Wizards. He's number 1
He's number 1 in all-time blocks.
So that is how dominant Michael Jordan was. He is the all-time leader in points, assists, rebounds, and steals.
Mm-hmm. So wait, are you saying that he was good?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's second in blocks.
Second
to Artis Gilmore. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Yeah.
You play a long time, you put up numbers.
Yeah. He's a systems guy.
He's a systems.
That Phil Jackson system is unbeatable.
Listen, anybody who gets the right
it didn't work in New York.
Him, and if you know what a triangle is, then you're fine.
Yeah, it didn't work in New York.
Yeah, exactly.
For some reason, the triangle offense did not work.
Yeah, because the triangle offense only works if 1 point on that triangle is Michael Jordan.
Yeah. Right, exactly.
And the other Scott
or Kobe Bryant.
Yeah, right.
Doesn't work otherwise.
Right.
Yeah,
pretty much. All right.
All right. Here's the thing, though. Easy to not give any love to Cartwright, but 3 championships.
Yeah.
It wasn't, he was a part of the team. He played his role. He did the right thing, right?
Bill Cartwright's numbers are never going to jump out at you. Bill Cartwright was way better than his numbers.
Yeah.
Bill Cartwright was a great player on the Knicks. He was a Knick killer and gave Patrick Ewing fits early on. And he set the template for what Jordan wanted and what the Bulls needed for a center.
Yeah.
So yeah, he was part of like the first three, right?
Mhm.
Yep.
And then they just went and got as good a Bill Cartwright impersonator as they could, and they had like what 20 of them. Luke Longley and
play,
Bill
yeah.
Wennington. It was the big white stiff du jour. I mean, yeah. I mean, when you saw Chris Dudley playing against Bill Wennington, all right, the quality of centers is going down in the NBA.
There's a template here, and it's being filled with.
But yeah, Bill Cartwright was great. Here's another guy who didn't quite make my list, but and it was really because he didn't really have the impact for a long period of time, but for a short period of time, out of that second run of the Bulls teams and even the post-Jordan year, Tony Kukoc is a guy who I really wanted to have on my list, but at the end of the day, I just couldn't. It just didn't pan out. But Kukoc was a hell of a player, and it does not surprise me that he was the guy with the ball in his hand when at the end of the game in the playoffs when Jordan was not there.
Right.
Yeah.
That tells you something. Also,
yeah.
I am going to say this. I don't want to be a Scottie Pippen hater. I think he has the personality of a wet rock. However, I do think Pippen was a great player, and maybe, just maybe, the second best defensive player of all time. Unfortunately, he played with the best
defensive player of all time. Man.
Pippen was the first guy who could probably cover 5 positions on the court if he had to.
Right.
He was that dominant on the defensive side, and I don't not take that away from him. But I don't think Scottie Pippen's legacy is anywhere near what he has accumulated if he does not
doesn't play with Michael Jordan
for the Bulls with Michael Jordan. And that's not a knock against Pippen.
Not at all.
It's just
he would have had a really good career. He would have had a really solid career.
I don't think he was the kind of guy to lead a team by himself to a championship, and he didn't. But he was the perfect, second fiddle.
So the second fiddle, the number one support guy, Mr. Number two, if you will.
He
was the Lieutenant Riker to Michael Jordan's.
He was the perfect Robin.
He was.
But there were also issues with him, the contract negotiations.
Right. He got a little bit of a raw deal.
Yeah, he got a pretty damn raw deal. But that all of that isn't known as well as the game where he refused to go in at the end of the game, and that sort of stuff makes the headlines. And
that's the kind of stuff though that to me means something.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff that makes me question just where he was. Because if he was a top, I mean, Phil Jackson would have had the ball in his hand if he was the best guy on the court at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a great shooter. Pippen was good. He became a pretty decent shooter.
Right.
But he is not, unlike Jordan, he did not have, I mean, nobody had the sort of end of game mid-range jumper that Michael Jordan developed. No one did. Kobe Bryant came close, but Dwayne Wade in his prime maybe, but that's what wins you championships. And that was the part of Pippen's game that he never quite had. He became a good shooter. Started off his career pretty rough in that end, and I will say he's probably the most improved shooter in the history of the NBA. Maybe him and Kawhi Leonard, but was never the guy that you kind of want with the ball in his hand at the end of the game.
At the end of the game,
all right. Unless at the end of the game you're on a fast break.
Right. Exactly.
And then you might want Scotty to finish because he was really good at that. But taking a shot from 14 to 19, not the guy necessarily. Not the first.
Yeah, and he was kind of broke the mold. He would fit. Scottie Pippen would certainly fit in today's NBA game because he could play anywhere from a 1 to a 4.
Mm-hmm.
If you need him to play 5, he could.
Sure. All right. Well, that has been the Scottie Pippen portion of the show.
Yeah, well, I think he's.
I think kudos where kudos is due.
Scottie Pippen's an interesting discussion. He's an interesting.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Absolutely. All right. Well, on that note, why don't we get to this week's Old Balls? Old Balls. Harry, why don't you tell us who this week's Old Balls is?
Well, this week's recipient of the Old Bulls Award is actually a point guard for the Chicago Bulls, none other than Mr. Ron Harper, 5-time NBA champion. Now, Ron Harper's numbers are never going to jump out at you, but this guy was on those Bulls team. He was definitely out there in crunch time and was the guy with the ball in his hand, and also one of the best defensive players in the history of the NBA, in my humble opinion. I think he gets forgotten a little bit, but Ron Harper was tough as nails. Started his career with the Cavaliers, went to the Clippers, then the Bulls, and then the Lakers. And he was a kind of an important part of those Lakers teams, too, for a few years. Again, 5-time NBA champion, Ron Harper. 13.8 points per game. I don't think people think of him as that much of a scorer, but he was. He averaged almost 4.5 rebounds a game and almost 4 assists a game. So he had a pretty incredible career as a guy who, spent the latter part of his career, coming off the bench sometimes, starting, being a sixth man, whatever the case might be. But he was a high draft pick. He was 8th overall by the Cavs in 86. Mm-hmm. And but I think he became known as one of those missing components that the Bulls were always able to replenish over the years for Michael Jordan. And Ron Harper. I mean, how many times did this guy come up big on with a steal or a big shot or something in his years with the Bulls and the Lakers? And I don't know. I think he goes forgotten a little bit. He was a scorer at first. I mean, when he was with Cleveland and the Clippers, he put up 20, 30, 22 points a game. And then he became more of a role player. But man, talk about a role player who excelled at what he did. I put him right up there with some of the other great role players who won championships. Robert Horry and people of that nature.
Sure.
He was a hell of a defender. Maybe Bruce Bowen was better, but he's right up there as far as defending. And he did it. He did it in the clutch. He did it in prime time, and he was he had the luxury of playing with Jordan and Pippen and Rodman, etc. But Ron Harper was a big part of those Bulls teams, probably more so than some of the other names that you think of on those teams, in my opinion. Ron Harper, this week's Old Balls recipient.
Old Balls. All right, there we go. Good job. All right. So to speak about some current basketball going on. So Atlanta won. Atlanta beat Charlotte. So Atlanta will play. I guess it's tomorrow night. They'll play Cleveland for the 8th seed.
There we go.
And but then, Charlotte was ranked. No, Charlotte wasn't ranked higher than.
No, Charlotte was 10th. Charlotte was 10th. Atlanta was 9th.
Yeah, Atlanta was 9th.
So Atlanta beat them. So
that's right. Atlanta was 9th. That's right. So they had to play again.
So they won. So even if Charlotte won, Atlanta be out, and Charlotte would play.
Right.
But,
that's right.
It's the playing. So Atlanta will play Cleveland.
Okay.
I guess it's tomorrow.
The winner of that game gets to.
The winner of that game gets to lose to Miami Heat.
Yeah.
Okay.
But Brooklyn is playing. They won last night, so they're already playing.
Playing
number 2 seeds that are playing Boston.
Listen, Brooklyn Net fans, you should not be that thrilled with the win. I mean, you should be happy that they won last night, but they had like a 26-point lead in this game, and it came down to 4 in the fourth quarter, and it was kind of a typical let them back into it, and they're not going to beat Boston.
No, probably not.
Well, they might. I mean, Boston.
I don't know. I think that's
Boston,
a toss-up.
Somebody for Boston is out. I forget his name.
Williams. And
they're not. I think they're not expecting him to be back for this series. So that's going to give a little edge to Brooklyn. But I mean, you can't have a collapse like that against Cleveland.
Cleveland's a pretty decent team.
They're a decent team, but they're not
This,
Boston.
What is this Nets team? That's the thing. It's Kyrie and KD, and
no. But you know what? When and Durant said it himself. He said when they were basically, I'm going to paraphrase, but he said when they were moving the ball, like when they were actually playing basketball, passing the ball and setting picks and moving the ball, they were running away with it.
Yeah.
But then they get away from that, and it's bringing down the court, maybe one pass and a shot, and then it starts to fall apart. Not everybody can shoot great all the time, and they're capable of furious comebacks and stuff. But you should be burying these teams. They ought to be burying these teams in these games. And
Durant had 11 assists yesterday. I think he had 10 in the first half.
Yeah, I mean you can't get away with that when you start to play the better teams like Boston and Miami and Milwaukee. Assuming they are even able to move on from this next series. So I don't know. I don't know if they can. I mean, Kyrie is crazy good, but even he falls into they fall into that same pattern. I just don't know how many times you can flip that switch on against these better teams. They have ways of, and their defense falls apart. It just collapses in the second half.
I think the Nets need to find a way of getting their bench to be more productive. I am surprised that LaMarcus Aldridge did not play at all yesterday. I'm not surprised that Blake Griffin did, and I get that.
No, but Aldridge hasn't been playing as much, but Claxton's been playing really well.
Claxton played 29 minutes.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
Right. And,
but yeah, you would think when things are kind of starting to go south, that's when you want to bring in a guy like LaMarcus Aldridge.
Yeah, I think there's going to be some matchups where he could take advantage of some teams. I think Boston might just be that. Look, Boston's a team that finished the season really hot. They dropped a little bit. They were in the top spot. The Heat, nobody's talking about the Heat. But I think the Boston Nets series is going to be a really good one. I really do. I don't think Boston's a prohibitive favorite in that at all. What I do think is I think Boston's defense can cause problems for Kyrie Irving. I don't think anybody causes problems for Kevin Durant, but I do think they can get Irving off his game a little bit. Right. But look, the Nets have to get more guys involved. Steph Curry, zero.
Yeah.
0 points yesterday.
He's
you're going to beat Boston.
Falling off. He's falling off the wagon.
If you're going to beat Boston, that guy's got to hit some threes.
He's got to do something.
Look, Patty Mills went through a real dry spell, but he's he's streaky, but he's kind of back on his game a little bit. So
sure.
I'll be honest. I'm not a big fan of these play-in series. This is just too much.
Anybody that's a regular listener never knew that.
Yeah.
So, in any event, on that note, let's pick. First of all, let's do who's winning the Atlanta-Cleveland game tomorrow night.
I think Atlanta wins only because I think Trae Young and those guys they sort of found some magic in the playoffs last year, and I think they're going to win.
All right, Pete.
I agree.
All right. Who's winning the Pelicans Spurs game tonight?
Well, I mean, right now the Pelicans are up by 3. I think it's going to be hard for New Orleans to lose this. I think the Pelicans win.
Who's on the Pelicans?
That's a good question.
I mean, Zion, but he's not playing, right?
Who's on the Spurs? Who's on the Pelicans? That's the guy. Well, you got Brandon Ingram's the big, guy for New Orleans.
The big Pelican?
Yeah, you got Valanciunas.
Okay. Yeah.
And CJ McCollum.
Yeah, the Spurs, what are the Spurs? They're not that Spurs team of old, obviously.
Well, the Spurs are also missing, one of their best players in however the hell you say his name, Patello no, he's playing. I guess he is playing. But
ankle He's
Yeah.
he's not playing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I don't even know how you
guess
say
the-
it.
I guess the
Jacob
Pelicans.
Poltel? I don't know. He's the big
So-
center, big white center on the.
Right.
You know,
Chris Dudley.
well, he's better than Chris Dudley by a lot.
Yeah.
He's been having a hell of a year. The Spurs are look. You got to give Greg Popovich credit. I mean, he's got Murray. I think Murray's one of the better point guards in the league.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's averaging 21 points, almost 8.5 rebounds. He's almost averaging a triple double.
Right.
You know, that people forget about DeJounte Murray. He is, I think, one of the most underrated players in the league. I just don't think he has enough help. I think New Orleans is a slightly more athletic team who has better shooting. But, you know, hey, look, wouldn't that be a story if the Spurs make it, you know? And I do think CJ McCollum's helped this Pelicans team. I think since he's gone there, they've obviously been playing better ball. But you're talking about a team that's 10 and a team that's 12 games under 500 playing for a playoff spot.
Pete,
Yeah,
what do you
so
think?
Pelicans win. But I think they lose to the Clippers.
Hold on. We didn't get there yet.
Oh, sorry.
What you call it? And then, okay, so who's winning? Pelicans, Clippers.
I'm going to go with the Clippers.
Clippers.
I'm going to go with the Clippers, but not very confidently.
I gotta love it. LAC. Yeah, we all concur on all of these. LAC. So Los Angeles Chargers. So who would win that game? Who would win that game? The Pelicans or the Chargers?
Paul George is probably a pretty damn good quarterback.
There you go. That's true.
But not in the playoffs.
No. In the playoffs, he sucks. In the playoffs,
well, although last year he was
Paul George had
better,
a good game last night.
You
know.
All right. So, assuming it's Atlanta and Los Angeles are both the 8 seeds. All right. Let's start with the East. Heat. We'll go Harry, then Pete. Harry, Heat.
We're saying Heat,
Hawks.
Atlanta.
Heat, Hawks. Who's winning?
Heat.
Heat.
All right. We all agree on that. All right. Harry, Boston, Brooklyn.
I'm going to take the Nets.
Wow. All right. Pete.
I'm going to take the Celtics.
All right. I'm taking Boston as well. Harry, Milwaukee, Chicago.
Going to be a good series. Chicago just doesn't have what it takes. Milwaukee wins that. I could see that series going the distance, though.
All right.
Yeah, Chicago doesn't have, is it Lonzo?
Yeah,
he's out.
Paul and
Levine's back.
Caruso, I think, is
Caruso's out.
Levine's back.
Yeah, Levine's back.
Exactly.
Yeah,
back,
but I don't think they have enough, and Giannis and company are on a mission. So Milwaukee.
Yeah. All right, and Harry, the Sixers or the Raptors?
You know, the Sixers better win this for the sake of that whole franchise. I would not be surprised if the Raptors make this a very tough series, though.
Mm-hmm. True story. Pete?
I'm going to take the Dinosaurs.
All right. Toronto.
By that, I mean Toronto.
Wait a minute. I was going to say the 76ers aren't that old a team.
No, they're not that old. But...
All right. All right, let's move to the West. Harry, start us out. The Suns and, according to this, the Clippers.
Suns.
I was going to say, let me just write Suns down for all three of us. Hold on. Pete?
Phoenix, I believe their name is.
Phoenix. Yeah, there you go. All right. Memphis, Minnesota. Harry.
Tell you what, Minnesota is a cocky, talented team. So is Memphis.
All right. Pete.
Yeah, there's a reason Memphis is the second seed. So yeah,
I concur.
And they're a bear. Their team mascot's a bear. So
there you go. Yeah, I agree. Memphis as well. All right, Harry. Warriors, Nuggets. Let me just write Denver. Hold on.
No, I mean, look, I wish I could say that. If Steph Curry was out, I think they got a chance. I think this is going to be close. I just think Steph Curry's.
You don't think the Joker can carry this team through that?
Not
series?
with what he's got. No, he just has no one.
Okay.
Yeah, I just think I think the Warriors win. I think it's close though. I think it's close, and I'll be really happy if I'm wrong. But I think the Warriors win.
All right, so you're going with gunshot wound. GSW, that is. Pete?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. The Warriors are probably, this might be a very kind of enviable position for them. I mean, they're the number 3 seed, but other than, it's Steph Curry, they're not in the news as much.
Right.
There's other teams that are being talked about, and they don't have the best record. They got the third or fourth best record so they're a little bit under the radar as much as Golden State can be. But they got a lot of firepower. So
I give Steve Kerr and the Warriors credit for actually getting the 3rd seed with what they've been dealing with over the course.
Yeah, that's what I mean. I don't. Yes, they're a threat. They're in contention, but anybody, probably rare that you're picking them to win the whole thing.
Right.
I wouldn't think there would be that many people that would say, "Oh, Golden State has as good a chance as anybody."
Close. And Draymond Green's back.
Yeah,
he's not playing great, but he's back.
That's what I mean. They're a little bit underrated, maybe, or better than their rating, and I think that's a good position for them. Right? They're not pressured.
I don't think they get past the second round, but I think they beat the Nuggets, which is unfortunate because I think had the Nuggets played Utah, I think the Nuggets could have beat them. I think this is just a bad matchup for the Nuggets because the Nuggets just don't have much of a backcourt depth right now.
Gotcha. All right, Harry, Mavericks or Jazz?
Well, is Luka playing? That's the big thing. How serious is this injury? It sounds like he's not going to play.
It sounds that way.
So I'm going to go with the Jazz. I mean, the Mavericks without Luka or the Nuggets without Joker. So it's
this is true.
Yeah.
And Pete,
is he going to be out for the whole series? Is that what they're saying?
We don't know.
We don't know. Even if he comes back, it's not like he's going to be completely
right. Like he's 100% from the day he comes back. Yeah.
Right. That's not going to happen. Yeah, I'll take Utah.
All right. So there you go. So of all of these, we agree on everything except 2 series. Harry is going Brooklyn. Pete and I are going Boston, and Harry and I are going Sixers. Pete's going Toronto. So those are the only 2 outliers. Everything else we agree on. So cool. And just for shiggles, obviously we'll do this, weekly or whatever. As series end and we move on to the next.
We'll adjust our.
We'll adjust. Well, we have to, right? Well, we'll pick the next round, right? If everything is here, we'll see how well we did, and then pick the next round. No matter what, we're going to have different picks.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think anything
have to play each other. It's not, so
if the Spurs win, I don't think we're going to take the Spurs over the Clippers.
Probably not.
And if Charlotte wins,
no, Charlotte.
I don't know. I'll probably take Cleveland over Charlotte.
No, well, Charlotte lost already. Atlanta already won.
Oh no, that's right. Never mind. Charlotte's out. Sorry.
So if the Pelicans win, if the Spurs win tonight, you're not going to take the Spurs over.
Yeah, that's not going to. So nothing's going to change.
And if the Spurs do win, you're not going to take the Spurs over the Suns either. So
nope.
None of that's changing.
Yeah, so none of that's going to change.
So, but just for shiggles, let's call it right now, to be adjusted later if need be, with a demerit written down. Who is going to the finals and who's winning? Start with Harry. What's the game? What's the matchup and who wins?
I think this is redemption year for 2 players. And I think that Chris Paul finally wins the championship. I think the Phoenix Suns beat the Philadelphia 76ers.
Really? All right. And the Suns win.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Pete?
Yeah, I kind of think Phoenix is going to come out of the West.
And the East?
I hate to count out the Bucks, but I think
It's
James
so hard
Harden
to
is going to.
repeat.
I think James Harden is going to figure this out with Embiid, and I just think that. I think if they can get past Toronto, I think they match up really well against the rest of these teams.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know. Harden's got a pretty dismal playoff history, I think.
Yeah, and look, I don't discount the Nets either. I think So I'm going out on a little bit of a ledge with the Sixers.
All right, so Phoenix beats the Nets, even though they already lost to Boston. I think Phoenix is going to beat Miami.
Miami.
Yep.
All right.
I think the Heat are putting it all together.
All right. Well, we agree that the Suns. All three of us agree that the Suns are coming out of the West. Harry says the Sixers are coming out of the East. Pete says the Heat, and I say the Bucks. And we all three agree that the Suns will win, no matter who they play. So there you go. We'll hold that sheet right there, and we'll revisit it after the fact. So, all right. Anything else we want to talk about?
Hockey still got a couple weeks left of the regular season, right?
We still got a couple weeks left before they go to the playoffs there. I just realized I didn't change the background at all. It's been basketball all night. So
hockey doesn't have any play-in games, do they?
No.
And in overtime, there's not like an extra guy or there's a guy in the goal.
No, what they do is they place a puck right in the crease.
Okay.
And then if the goalie knocks it in, that doesn't count. But if the guy can get a stick in there,
See, my idea was you take the smallest member of the opposing team on each team, and you put them on the opposing goalie's shoulders.
There you go. There you go.
Once you get past 2 overtimes, the goalie has to play with the guy from the other team on his shoulders.
Well, did you see that? I forget who it was. Might have been Washington. I forget who it was. I got to go back and find the video. But did you see that one goal? It was last week. Guy behind the net put his stick flat down on the puck, flipped it over, tossed it over, and then the guy batted it over the goalie's shoulder into the net.
Yeah,
it was insane. How the hell did that happen?
Somebody else did that a couple of years ago too, but still impressive.
It was very impressive.
What was really surprising about that is, how do you let that guy sit behind your net long enough? Right. Unless maybe it was a power.
Where were the? Yeah,
maybe it was a power play, but
could have been a power play.
I mean, even so, you can't let a guy long enough to get the right. He had to tiddlywink it up onto the stick or whatever, and then flip it. Somebody's got to go back there and.
It's the official. That's the official move. A tiddlywink.
Tiddlywink it up onto the stick and then flip it up.
Well, that's how you play tiddlywinks. But
he tiddlywinked it up and over
it up onto the stick and over the net.
That could be the greatest tiddlywink goal we've ever seen in this league.
And possibly the only tiddlywink goal we've ever seen.
I'm pretty sure somebody did that a couple of years ago, too.
Oh, yeah.
A tiddlywink goal?
It was a tiddlywink goal.
Tiddlywink Johnson did it all the time.
Well, John Love Handles Tiddlywink Smith back in 1901.
He absolutely did. He did.
2 tiddlywink goals.
He was known for his tiddlywink prowess.
That's right.
And his love handles.
That's right.
And then he got arrested, and
that was the end of that.
Tiddlywinking, and
he got the poodle in the divorce, though.
He got the poodle in the divorce. Yes, he did. So, anyway,
I would like to say one thing in hockey. That is, congrats to the Denver Pioneers for winning the NCAA championship. I will congratulate the team. I will make a note of saying that the students were an absolute nightmare and just insane. But I guess they had some fun lighting things on fire.
Well, that happens. And listen, was it Florida and Colorado?
Not really fun though.
What's the most points? Is it the Norris Trophy? The most points in the season, I think. So Colorado's right in that, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, right now, Florida's caught up. Florida and
yeah, that's what I mean. They're tied at 110.
They're tied at 110. But the Avalanche were ahead of the Panthers for most of the season. That Panthers caught up.
Yeah.
Panthers have won 8 in a row. Colorado's only won 6 in a row. So they're slacking. So, but yeah, it's. I mean, it's pretty well. I mean, the playoffs are pretty well defined right now. I mean, there's still room there, but I mean, right now it pretty much looks like. I mean, Carolina, the Hurricanes, the Rangers, the Penguins, and the Capitals are coming out of the Metropolitan. The Panthers, the Maple Leafs, the Lightning, and the Bruins are coming out of
The Islanders have not been eliminated yet.
The Islanders have not been eliminated yet. No, that is absolutely correct. But most likely, that will be. I mean, there's a definitive line. I mean, it's not close. It's not like it's only a couple of games, and a couple of games here and a couple of games there can swing. I know we got 2 weeks, but it pretty much looks as if that's going to be the scenario in the East. In the West, a little different. There's a little bit more.
The Pacific is still, relatively well. I mean, Calgary's
both the Pacific and the
9.
Central.
But Edmonton, Los Angeles, even Vegas is how many games we got left? 7 or 8, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they're 5 back of Edmonton, but
there's like 10. It's like 8, 9, or 10 actually games left. Except the Kings actually only have 7 games left, and as well as the Ducks. But it's a lot closer in those divisions. There's only 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 points that separate like the 5th place teams in each of those divisions.
Yeah, the Rangers can still win their division.
Rangers can still win the division. Only 2 points. They had a chance last night. They lost to the Hurricanes last night.
They beat up on the Flyers tonight, though.
Yeah, they did. But
is it 4 teams from each division go?
4 teams from each. Well, yeah, 4 teams from each division.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, the Rangers won tonight. But then again, so did the Hurricanes. So, but yeah, the Rangers were playing Carolina last night, and they lost. If they had won, then they would have,
Wait, I don't think the Hurricanes played tonight.
Yeah, they did. They had to have because they were they were 2 points ahead of the Rangers after beating them last night.
I got four games tonight, but maybe there's more.
Let's see. Maybe you're right. Hold on. Let's
Rangers,
check
Philly,
it out.
Colorado, and the Lakers, Montreal, and the CBJ.
The Kraken and the Jets were postponed because who knows why.
The Kraken and the New York
because they were getting 2 feet of snow. I heard that today.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
In Seattle or in Winnipeg?
In Winnipeg.
Yeah, there's a bad storm up in Canada. Yeah. Up there. Yeah, they did not. They did not.
I only got 3 games tonight. With the postponement.
Yeah, there you go. Okay. Well, but anyway,
the
Rangers had a chance last night.
The Avalanche haven't won yet, but they're up 4-0 at the end of just about the end of the first.
Did they give an award out for the best Zamboni driver?
Yes, and I know who actually wins it every year. A friend of mine.
Oh, really? He's won it every year. Huh?
He's won it every year.
The
his wife makes it for. His wife makes it for him.
Okay,
but he's won it every year.
That's right.
Yeah, my good buddy Al.
Stanley Mug.
Al Carl.
Does he have ice floors in his house?
He drives his Zamboni. He lives out in semi-western Jersey, out 80.
Semi-western
Jersey. Well, it's not all the way out. It's like
Jersey's like 3 miles wide.
It's like 2/3 of the way out, Jersey.
Semi-western.
But he drives Zamboni for the Islanders.
What kind of mileage does it get?
Well, you know what happens is like he gets home and turns around and goes back. That's what happens.
Right.
It's actually really good on ice, but on the road,
right?
So
wintertime, he gets home faster than anybody else. He's just flying by everybody.
Tesla made a Zamboni yet?
I believe they do actually. So, but
I'll fly it into space.
There you go. Al's a great Zamboni driver. All right. So
that's
it. That'll do it for hockey. We have an over/under tonight.
We do.
No over/under tonight.
No over/under tonight.
Now I have to examine the shelves and find something.
I did want to ask one question before we finish. I want to go back to basketball. First of all, Frank Vogel got fired. Is that a shock?
Yeah. Well, he didn't deserve it.
He didn't deserve to be fired, but I mean, somebody had to pay for that.
Yeah.
Lakers.
Well, LeBron James should pay for it. He's the guy that brought Russell Westbrook in. So the story is they had a deal in place, or basically in place, for Zach LaVine.
Right.
And LeBron went, nope, I want Westbrook, and that didn't,
And it didn't work.
And AD was hurt, and LeBron was hurt. I mean, it's how do you.
Zach LaVine would have been a much better bet than
Yeah.
Westbrook at this point.
Here's the thing.
They're old. They're old and they're slow, and they much like what the Knicks kind of dealt with. Vogel's a defensive coach. You got to buy into that, and if you don't buy into that, then the team's not going to have success.
Yeah.
And just see what LeBron said. He says his goal when he came to LA was to win a championship. He's already done that, but he wants to win more.
Yeah. Well, he also said this season wasn't a failure.
No, of course not.
Because they went out and went to work every day. But I mean,
right.
It's getting harder and harder to like LeBron. You know,
right.
I mean, I tend to. I was kind of tending to lean towards LeBron in the greatest ever argument.
Right.
No.
But I don't know, man. He's not carrying himself well in his later years, and like all of Jordan's kind of bullshit was sort of behind the scenes,
right?
The gambling and the getting on teammates and all that stuff. It, kind of came out later on or whatever. But LeBron is not. You can't go up there and go, yeah, this season wasn't a failure. You didn't make the fucking play-in, for crying out loud.
Well, I think he's trying not to throw his teammates under the bus, is what I think LeBron.
Well, yeah, but he doesn't have to name names. So all he has to do is go, yeah, we didn't make the playoffs. That's a failure. We're the Lakers. Like, how do you?
I agree with you on that. I don't have any problems with LeBron as far as. I mean, I think at one point that whole, decision to move to Miami and the spectacle of the announcement was kind of
that was a PR guy's idea, and it was a bad idea, and there was nobody around to say, this is stupid, LeBron, don't do it.
But other than that, I mean, look, LeBron's a pretty stand-up guy, maybe more stand-up than anybody else in the history of the game.
Just about everything else right.
And I would say this, there's probably 2 or 3 people that I would have ahead of LeBron for MVP this year. I mean, if it wasn't for LeBron, the Lakers are a 10-win team, it seems like. I mean, he is the guy averaged over 30 points a game.
I'm glad you brought that up because I want to ask you now. I want to ask you actually. And that was my other thing that I wanted to bring up in basketball, and then I'll say one other thing. We'll wrap it up. Who is winning the MVP?
I think the consensus, only because I think of the sports writers want Embiid to win. I think the sort of fix is in. I think Joel Embiid would win it.
All right. So
quite frankly, I think it's utter bullshit. I think Embiid's third.
So let's just pick right now, Harry. Out of the Joker, Embiid, or Giannis, who's winning?
Who's going to win, or who would my vote win?
Who would your vote?
Jokic, without a doubt.
Jokic. Okay. Pete.
2,000, 1,500.
I get it.
His second best player on his team is Will Barton.
Yeah.
End of discussion.
Yeah. Pete.
Yeah, I think he's. I mean, who's done more to keep their team afloat than Joker has?
Nobody.
I mean, talk about a pile of shit being dumped on a team.
Right.
They went through a lot of shit, and he, kept them where they were or where they are. So, yeah, I think that's fair.
I think we all agree. Joker should win. So I got this graphic right here. CBS Sports put this up yesterday. Was it today or yesterday? One of them. Here we go. Right now, this is the stats right here. So points per game, Joker has 27.1, Embiid has 30.6, and Giannis has 29.9. Assists per game, 7.9 for way out in front, Joker, and rebounds 13.8 way out in front, Joker. All three are in the playoffs. Odds of winning, obviously, Giannis has the best odds.
Yeah, well, look, Embiid was kind of.
I'm sorry. I take that back. Odds of winning the MVP, Joker has the best odds.
Right.
So
yeah, look,
according to CBS Sports, Joker has the best odds right now.
Embiid was peaking late in the season, right? He had that ridiculous run of 40-plus point games or whatever the hell it was. Mm-hmm. Giannis is, defending championship, and he came on strong late.
Sure.
those are both considerations. But again,
they both have way better supporting casts.
Exactly. I mean,
even before Harden arrives in Philadelphia, Philadelphia's got some players who do not get the respect that they deserve.
Yep.
And they do feed into to Embiid. I mean, the offense runs through Embiid.
Yep.
Embiid also, I would like to see how many more shots Embiid takes a game. So, but the assists and the rebounds are staggering for you.
Yeah, look at it right there. I mean, he's got Jokic has.
He just went under. He was like point something from actually having 8 assists and 14 rebounds.
Yeah. So and he pulls. Yeah, so he's almost at 8, and Embiid's at just over 4, and Giannis is just under 6 for assists.
If any of those 3 win, it's great. Here's
over 2 ahead of both of them rebounds per game. So, and
here's something that you got to love with all 3 of them. They're all big men.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And they all come to work every night and play really hard.
Yep.
And you can't say that about everybody in the NBA these days. Sure. And they're all really good guys.
Yeah.
They're all what you want out of stars in the NBA. I'll tell you that much. So whoever wins, congratulations.
Yeah, but
I'm glad Giannis is in that discussion because that guy is just unbelievable.
Yeah, he really is. And but it just shows you that. I mean, right there, CBS put it up, and the odds right now are, Joker's odds-on favorite to win the second MVP in a row.
All of the NBA guys who I know have votes in this are going to go Embiid. I just think Embiid's going to win it. I just think you're going to be surprised.
Let's give it to Embiid this year, kind of thing. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I also.
I mean, unless points per game is the only stat that they're going on, that could be the only.
I think there's a bias. I think Jokic could average 45 points a game. I think there are a lot of people who poo-poo the Joker's game.
Well, the other thing, and this really shouldn't have anything to do with the MVP, I don't think, but there's personality involved too. Giannis is a great story, and we got to know him last year when they became champions. Embiid, you may love him, you may hate him, but he yaps a lot, right? He talks a lot, and he's charismatic and all that. Joker is quietly, but not, probably most people who don't know him as well.
He doesn't have the exposure. The Nuggets don't get the national exposure. He's actually hilarious.
Right. That's exactly my point. I've seen a few clips and interviews with him. He's great, but I don't think the public sees that as much as they do see it with the other guys. So you get down and you look at the stats and you go, yeah, but I really love Embiid, man. He's not afraid to say whatever and blah. And
I think it's an East Coast bias. I think the Sixers fall into the New York City metropolitan area. There's people like Stephen A. Smith.
Everybody watching in Philly just got really pissed off at you.
Well, it's true though.
It's the 95 corridor.
It's the 95 corridor.
As Mike Wilbon always says.
Right.
The 95 corridor.
Look, it's just the truth.
I know.
So, yeah, there's just as many Sixers fans in New Jersey as there are Knicks and Nets fans. Sure. Because of that weird southern part of New Jersey. But
the northern half of New Jersey is New York fans. The southern half of New Jersey is Philly fans. That's the way it is. It always has been. It always will be.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think Embiid will win it.
Mm-hmm.
I hope the Joker wins it. I think all 3 are super deserving.
Right.
Split it in 3.
Yeah, and listen, whoever wins,
3-way tie.
It's not like I'm going to go,
right.
Here's somebody else who should be on that list.
Joker, but if someone else wins it, I'm not going to.
Here's somebody else who should be on that list.
Carmelo Anthony,
John Moran.
Devin Booker.
Booker, yeah, and I would say Moran, except he's been hurt and it's hard to.
Yeah.
Right.
It's hard to. I think Devin Booker's proven that he is the leader of that team, and he's had his best year. I've been talking about Booker for a long time when all the Chris Paul people were saying he deserved it. Devin Booker's the reason why the Spurs are where they're at. They're a good team. He's got a lot of help. He's got a lot of talent on that team. The Spurs are a good team. They're deep, they're well coached, and they've got a lot of talent. But Booker Booker is the star of that team.
Fair enough. All right. Cool. All right. 2 other things, and then we'll get out of here really quick. Just want to say, I forgot to put this up last week. I just want to show it. The Tar Heels last week. After having the lead they did, and then losing it and losing the game on Monday night, they've changed. Having that big lead at the half, and then losing the game. They've changed their logo. Here's their new logo. Okay. Those of you listening to the audio podcast, it is a Tar Heels colored Atlanta Falcons logo. So there you go. And one other last thing. Congratulations to Scotty Scheffler for winning the Masters.
Yeah, good for him.
Yeah.
Another young guy winning the Masters.
Maybe he was the listener from Chicago.
Congratulations
he actually is. That's the funny thing.
To Tiger for making it all.
And congratulations, Tiger. He made a good showing for considering where he was
played
at.
Really well for 2 days, and I think he just got worn down. Right,
He got worn down. He said that too. He
the hills and having to walk the course, and But I don't know. I find Tiger. Found him easy to like or dislike early on, and I'm just one of the people as a knee-jerk reaction to hype. Tiger and guys who just come out and before they LeBron too. Before he did anything, he was. So I have a knee-jerk negative reaction to that, but I find it hard to dislike Tiger now because he's been through a lot of shit. Some of it self-imposed, much of it self-imposed, or brought it on himself, but.
Absolutely.
He's rebounded, and a lot of people that I read, they talk about he's a different person now.
Yep.
This second half of his career, he's a much more human being than he used to be. So, and that's always cool to see people kind of grow. And
absolutely,
I'll still vote against him, but
anyway.
But I'm happy he was able to complete the whole tour.
There you go. Yeah, and he played all 4 days. So he played well on Thursday and Friday, Saturday and Sunday. Just his body, he got worn down.
I'll be more excited when John Daly makes a comeback.
There you go. There you go. And there you have it.
Only 400-pound golfer with a mullet.
a freshly cut mullet.
Yes.
Freshly mown mullet.
There's a video of him shooting of teeing off with the ball on top of a beer can.
Gotta love it.
I don't know why he must have a book out or something because he's been in the news a lot lately, or I've seen clips of him lately. But for years he lived on popcorn and he's a Jim Beam or
popcorn and Jim Beam.
Yeah,
it was definitely something alcoholic.
It's just one of the whiskeys. It was either Jim Beam or what's the other, Southern Comfort, or I think it was Jim Beam.
Jim Beam.
That's all he ate was popcorn and drank Jim Beam.
Yeah. Well, it was kind of the Jim Morrison, right? Live on a roof and eat beans.
Maybe the opposite of Jim Morrison.
Well, I mean, as far as that diet, just eat the same thing all the time, and for a couple of years. Well, I mean, for a couple of years, but
when's John Daly going to come back?
Yeah.
I don't know.
As soon as he runs out of popcorn and Jim Beam.
As soon as Lee Trevino does,
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, on that note, we will wrap the show for today, unless there's anything else you want to discuss.
Well, John Daly should be paired up with like Barkley and Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. He should be in that.
There you go. John Daly, Charles Barkley, Peyton Manning, and Tom Brady.
Yeah, there we go. Little match play.
There you go. All right.
He won. He did play in a tournament last year. Won over $2 million. So
there you go.
So we may not see him for a while.
Was the Jim Beam Invitational?
No, it was the
Orville Redenbacher popcorn.
The Orville Redenbacher.
No. Insperity Invitational.
There you go.
He came in second.
Okay,
I mean, that's a pretty good purse. $2,250,000. That's not bad
for second. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
that'd be enough to keep me out of the limelight for a couple of years.
Year and a half, maybe.
$1 million, I don't have to do anything now.
You have to do anything for a couple of years. Yeah, you can just sit on.
He was at the Masters.
There you go. He was watching, or
I don't know. It says John Daly's Wild Masters weekend included booze, hooters, and a jam sesh with Hootie and the Blowfish. So who really won the Masters?
Who really won the Masters? Absolutely. I think
John Daly has
no.
made a tradition of bringing his RV to the Augusta Hooters for the greatest week in golf. This year was no different. God.
Yes, gotta love it. Gotta love it.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, because there's not a better note to end on right there for the show today. We'll wrap the show up for today. We want to thank everybody for watching, and for those of you just listening to the audio podcast, thanks for listening. Don't forget to visit our website, www.getonwithitpodcast.com. That's getonwithitpodcast.com. And please remember, like us and follow us on all of our social media, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Just search for the Get On With It podcast. And, of course, all of the shows are available on YouTube as well on the Logger Room channel. Remember, we go live with the video podcast on both Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night around 7:30 Eastern Time. For those of you who just want to listen to the audio podcast, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcast, and iHeartRadio as well. And if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to one or more of those feeds, and you'll never miss a show. Again, thanks for following along with us. Have a great rest of your week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch some more baseball. Get ready for the basketball playoffs to start. And look forward to the USFL starting this weekend. And we'll talk to you next week, folks. Enjoy. Cheers.
Bye, everybody.